sound is speeding. Maybe keep.
No, yeah. I mean, I guess
you want to set the timer? Good.
Talking about on the movie. First of all, before I say anything,
go for it.
I just want to say I'm super excited to be on this
the
Movie Addicts podcast.
That's incredible.
I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you for saying that. No, but your chord's fine. Your chord's fine, Gabe. It's my chord. It's literally just. I'm serious. It's my chord.
Okay, I hope so.
For the record,
it is. The other chords are fine. So keep going, Havey.
Yeah. I really admired you guys before the podcast, obviously, and we
can explain why that is.
You guys are powerhouses intellectually and artistically, and this is just a good product, and I'm excited, man. I'm ready to roll. This is I'm not gonna say a dream come true, because that'd be kind of lame, a little bit. But
why would that be lame?
We gladly welcome a dream to come onto the Movie Addicts podcast.
If you
want to say it's a dream come true,
it's a dream come true.
Okay,
it's a dream come
true.
Wait.
I mean,
So
there you go.
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get a clap in, and let's get Havey's face on board.
Yeah. So let's get that clap going, huh? Ready?
All right.
Ready?
So we clap.
You know how
like
we clap
3,
on one.
2, on
Got
one.
Okay, ready?
3,
2, 1. See, that was flawless.
That was flawless.
That was great.
Havey, you're officially an addict boy. How do you feel?
You've been
feel
inducted.
Great.
It's a family.
Wait.
It's a mafia. We have dinners and shit.
Did you say abducted? We got you.
No,
bitch.
I said inducted.
Gabe, I want to fill you, and I was filling
Go.
Colin in of why this is especially exciting for me, and why this is. It feels like like I said, a dream come true. I've been visualizing this because I was recently a Domino's pizza delivery guy.
Oh, it's Domino's specifically.
And obviously hours in the car, listening to podcasts, different music, whatever. I really looked forward to those moments in the car where I could listen to the new Movie Addicts podcast. I was addicted to the Movie Addicts podcast, and so
Havey's really listened to
Let's go, son.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I have. I'm a student of this podcast.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's cool.
Dale, don't be afraid to, if you want to swap out the cord at any moment, just let us know.
This is the second cord I've swapped in.
Okay.
And so there's only one more cord left on the roster.
Great.
And I just think I'm gonna try to put some faith in this cord, and we're gonna press forward. And
I'm on board.
I just want to say I'm very grateful to be here today.
I'm very grateful to have Havey here.
Yeah. Very grateful that I woke up. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God is good.
God is good.
Korean Jesus is good.
Korean Jesus. Shout out to Korean Jesus. You have to shout out Korean Jesus. Obviously, we live right on the. I always want to tell people where we live. We can't do that.
Is he a different Jesus?
That's going to become an issue down the road.
Is Korean Jesus, how different is he than regular Jesus?
Well, you've seen 21 Jump Street or no?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the Korean Jesus scene? Where Jonah Hill's praying to Korean Jesus, and Ice Cube's starts laughing. Do you remember this?
Is this the second one? First one?
I think it's the first. I remember it being the first movie.
I haven't seen either of them, so I'm out.
I remember it being the first movie, but the point is their headquarters is in the Korean church, and so there's a Korean Jesus, and Jonah Hill's praying to Korean Jesus.
That's good stuff.
Anyway, so that's we always anyway, but
You think you can EQ that out, Havey?
I
we're just gonna have to power through it. We're just gonna have to forget it exists. We're gonna have to I don't know, because I don't know what to do.
What we could do is we could maybe do like a talking mic where it's I just shut up and I wait my turn patiently.
No. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
Honestly, it's gonna make for a great episode watching Dale struggle with that mic.
Yeah, but you don't need to. I'll worry about it. You don't worry about it. All right.
Yeah, baby.
All right. Who do we have here? So Havey's saying it's Disney. The Movie Addicts podcast is basically Disney World to this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Dreams are coming true.
We got this guy.
Basically,
ticket,
I'm Mickey
front
Mouse.
of the line.
You're what?
I'm Minnie Mouse.
You're Minnie Mouse.
We're a couple. We're a team.
It's like if it's like Disney World.
What do you want me to be? Pluto? Goofy?
Goofy.
Am I not good enough?
So when I went to Disneyland with Al.
Yeah.
Interesting story.
Oh, here we go. This is
the guy
epic.
checking my tickets. This is interesting.
Wait, let's do a little setup.
I think the guy was flirting with me. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
what?
yeah. So Al shows up. We're all standing in line.
I've never been to
and
Disneyland before. I've only been to Disney World. Go on.
We're all standing in
Oh
line.
yeah, you were there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
We're all standing in line. We're going through the turnstile, and this guy, he has been hired to keep the spirits high and get everyone stoked.
Get
10
people's
a.m.
tickets scanned
Let's
and
go.
all, everything.
So Al walks through, and the guy's like, "What character would you be?" And I was like, "Goofy" or some shit.
Did you
like
say
that.
Goofy?
Al said something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I said Goofy.
And the guy, okay. So Al said something like Lilo and Stitch
Yeah,
or some shit
yeah.
like that. And then Al walks through. And then Al's mom goes, and she was like, "What character?" And like, Minnie Mouse or some shit like that. And then Dale walks up, and the guy's like, "Dale." Or, because he already knows you.
He knows me by name. We're homies. This is the homie.
Yeah. We've known this guy forever.
Yeah.
And
This
he's
is my
like,
brother.
what character are you? And Dale says,
Goofy. And he goes, "Oh, I think you're more Winnie the Pooh." And I was like, "Sir, what the fuck does that mean?" So he didn't accept my answer, which was very strange. You know what I mean?
Listen,
I was
you're
like,
a big
"Sir,
boy at Disney
aren't you
World."
supposed to just accept my answer and keep it pushing?" But he like kind of made a point of being like, "No, dude, you're Winnie the fucking Pooh." I'm like, "What does it mean? I'm fat? What does this mean?"
"It means you love honey, baby."
I think what it meant was like he was trying to say I was cute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
'Cause he was super duper into you,
He
yeah.
was thinking Goofy's an ugly motherfucker.
Whatever
Winnie
the
Pooh's
case,
a cute guy.
not a great way to start a Disneyland.
Yeah,
Disney
but like
World
I also was shocked that he
with that,
pushed
and you're like-
back on my.
On your answer?
You know how like you have moments in life and you go, "Are you treating just me this way, or is this how you treat everyone?" And you can't figure out which is which.
You know what I wonder?
right.
I wonder if he has fun fucking with the older kids. Where like you roll up and you kind of
I'm
roll
the
it.
older kids.
Yes, and he, like we roll our eyes, and you're just like, "Yeah, I guess I'm like Goofy," and this guy's like, "This guy's not taking this seriously." All right, I think you're like Winnie the Pooh, and then now, 10 weeks later, you're still thinking about this shit. And he's
No,
moved
like I'm
on.
never gonna forget it. Like in reality, this guy might be a genius because I'm never gonna forget the moment.
One day you'll wake
Right?
up and he's like, "He's right. I am Winnie the Pooh."
Dude.
What's the age
Dude.
limit for Disney World?
What?
Is there a cutoff age for that?
I don't think so.
Nah, there isn't. No.
I don't know.
There's
just strictly a no pedo rule like that.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. No.
how do you weave
no
them out?
molesting kids, and that's about it.
How do you weave them out if there's no age limit? You know what I mean?
Damn.
No, but it's
sneak
supposed
right
to be
by.
a family.
That's
It's supposed to be a
terrifying.
family thing, you know. So you can't have an age limit on it. Like you can be fucking 80 years old going there. You could be 5.
Imagine a 5-year-old rolling up and just like, "Yeah, I'm here to enjoy the day." They got their wallet, they got their lunchbox, no parent.
Yeah, driver's license. It's like, holy, how'd you get this? Anyway, who do we have here today, Gabe?
Today, we have our friend, our brother,
Our peer,
a talented actor,
talented actor,
a hard-working Domino's driver.
a fan favorite from Magnolia Flowers, an oft-mentioned character that people are often intrigued by.
And that point alone is really humbling, considering
Dude,
the
people loved you in
performances
it.
in that film. I mean,
People loved you.
Gabe, freaking Emma Waters,
Yeah.
like, you know, all around, just tremendous performances. So the
Yeah.
fact that I can stand out in the audience's mind is I'm really grateful for that.
Well,
Grateful for that opportunity.
Havey, I think it's a testament to you trusting the text because Dale specifically, I feel, wrote your character as a little, like, everybody has their place in the friend group in the movie Magnolia Flowers.
Yeah.
But a lot of us are kind of vocal or bombastic or we have strong opinions. And your character is able to take in the group from more of just like a, we'll say like a bird's eye view.
yeah.
And the audience sees that. Because there's times in the film where the audience needs to sit back and be like, what the hell's going on? And they have your character to rely on for that.
That's a great point, and I think actually it was just we executed the plan.
Yeah, we did
Like,
execute the plan. There was a plan.
We
yeah.
were talking months prior to what this character would be in the mosaic of the film,
Yeah.
especially because it was at least initially conceived as an ensemble. It didn't end up being quite that. But nonetheless, you know, the mosaic of the characters involved, it was important to sort of edge out exactly maybe his impact. And so I think that was a fortunate case where you conceive a plan, you make the choices, and then it relays on screen. Because as an actor, Gabe can attest to this, you make a choice, you don't know if that's, you know, how it's going to read, or maybe it gets edited a certain way, or maybe, you know, the day on the set, the director's like, "That's dog crap, don't do that." But So yeah, that was that was a super a tremendous experience. That's those are the experiences you want. Like you can't ask for anything more. You go, I want to make a movie. I want to express myself as an artist in this way, and I got that and more. So I can't say enough thank yous to Colin for that film. And,
Yeah, that's very
well
sweet.
done,
I'll
Colin.
probably always say that. Like every time I see him, like, oh man, thanks for that film, man.
You do say it every time, which is really it's very it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me.
Dale's
it
saying
really does.
nobody in his entire life compliments him but you. So if you,
You
stop,
might be one of the
Serious?
only
if you
people.
stop, he's in trouble. We need you.
Well, shit. I there's got to be at least one.
No, people compliment
I'll
me
do
here
that,
and
man.
there, here and there, here and there.
I have to crush his ego on the regular.
Gabe veils his compliments. He goes, "It's pretty good, Dale, but
I make him work for him.
Yeah.
I make you work for that.
but I think we could change a few things. I think it could be a little better." You know what I mean? Gabe's always, how can we make it better?
Right.
But that's what makes Gabe. Here's the thing. I don't need a bunch of yes men in my life. I'm not saying you are one. I'm saying I appreciate when you do. When you
take the time to remind you,
very
like,
nice.
the
It's very
purity
kind.
and, like,
Yes.
the
Well, I wouldn't do it
grandness.
if I didn't feel it.
No, I know you
Absolutely.
wouldn't. I know
And
you wouldn't.
so it comes
Wait,
from the heart.
we didn't even get to the guest's name yet, did we?
Matt, his name is Matt Havey.
Matt
Can you
Havey.
explain the Matt Havey thing?
Yeah, yeah.
So that way people, when they watch this, they can look you up and they're not going to be confused as a motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, my name is posted like different ways at this point because it's just I ultimately elected to utilize a stage name moving forward, Matthew Marcus, which isn't really a stage name because my name literally that's my middle name is
Got it,
Matthew
okay.
Marcus. But just for clarity's sake, Havey often gets confused with heart. I'm going on about something superficial and no one really
we're
cares
listening.
about
Keep going.
no one
We're
really
listening.
cares about
Just
the
say it.
specifics of my last name, but
I
yeah,
care.
it just for clarity, there's a pitcher named Matt Havey.
Okay.
So very vain reasons, but
I think-
Matthew Marcus. It's cool. It carries on my grandfather's name too, and
Ooh, I like that.
his last name.
Nice.
And, so
I mean, the reason I go by Colin Charles Dale is so that people can find. It's like it's for like search engine optimization. Like there's another Colin Dale, and if you look up him, he's an EDM DJ in his 50s, and I need people to look up Colin Charles Dale so that I actually come up first.
Yeah,
and
so
not-
I'm-
so like that's a vain. Like there's nothing.
similar. Yeah.
There's some amount of vanity involved in being a showman. I mean, it kind of comes with the territory.
Matt,
Yeah.
you should be good. Don't worry about
Don't
the
worry
chord.
about your chord. Don't worry about your
We,
chord.
your chord is brand new. We've just picked it up.
Right.
We can blame Colin the whole time.
No, but Matt, I mean, can you explain? So you're first of all, people should know you're an actor, as we said. What you've worked on? We've worked on Magnolia Flowers. So for context, Matt plays, for people who haven't seen Magnolia Flowers, it's a movie that I wrote and directed. Gabe is in it. He plays Peter Duffy. Matt Havey is in it. He plays Jeffrey Daly, and you're an actor. Can you explain how you arrived at being an actor, and explain what projects you've worked on other than Magnolia Flowers, and including Magnolia Flowers, I suppose.
Well, it's a great question, right? So early on in my life, I can kind of pinpoint a period where something within me recognized some kind of connection to acting, even before I really could comprehend what it really was to act or be an actor. I went to school on like a what do you want to be when you grow up day as like the actor, and I don't know, maybe that was
And when was that?
This was probably 3rd or 4th grade.
Got it.
So like I said, even before my mind could really grasp intellectually what it was to be an actor, I think my gut, my intuition told me, hey man, you're interested in this, and then did it sort of not incredibly seriously throughout middle school, and then I stopped doing it in high school for various reasons, and then by my senior year I was just so burning with the passion to do it. I needed to do it, and so as soon as I graduated, I in college started to do it, and I lots of fantastic. I've been really fortunate to work with tremendous directors and other actors. New England to me is, or I should say the greater Boston area in general, is an amateur hub. Anyone who who is like first starting out, and you know, if they want to move to a place potentially where they can kind of get great experience, I'd say the Boston area. You know, the tremendous film schools in the area, just a lot of great opportunity to learn and grow in the New England, Boston area. So, I have one, you know, just recently got something that was pretty. I won't, you know, go into the details just because it hasn't, you know, aired yet. But I have a very small part in it. Still is confident. You know, we'll see. I might get cut out, but
This is a movie?
show,
Got it.
TV show. But no, I mean I've handful of features, short length, some experimental. I've been fortunate to work in a bunch of different ways. I have done different characters and just been really fortunate. You know, I wanted to start acting, and I was able to do it rather quickly. So yeah, it's been really cool.
And now you're in Los Angeles.
Yeah, just moved out here. I felt like I had probably maxed out in a large sense, like my opportunities in New England.
Okay.
You know, you can audition from anywhere at any time, just with technology today. But you know, there is the dimension of proximity, right?
Yes.
Being near the action is
Potentially, I would say one of the more undervalued dimensions right now, I think.
yeah.
Because I think
In a post-pandemic world, definitely undervalued.
undervalued. So, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, who you know. For instance, what are we doing right here? You know, we got two talented people who are going to be making things happen, doing things. Just, you know, for the social aspects, and I'm excited. I love it out here so far. So far, so good. This is a great housewarming gift, you know, to LA, being on this podcast. I
like
think
that.
so. Yeah.
It's a nice welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabe,
Hell yeah.
anything you wanted to toss in there as you're listening to Havey talk?
I mean, honestly, I feel pretty good. That was a good introduction.
Great introduction.
I will also put it out there, Matt, as a person, gives great advice. Always a great listener. Being on set for days and hours with people, you really start to learn like personalities, and you know, sometimes, you know, directors like Colin will yell at you till he's blue in the face, and makes you
I don't yell.
Makes you a stronger
Occasionally
actor.
I yell.
No,
No,
I'm totally
occasionally.
Well, actually, I was trying to make a joke. Clearly didn't land. Colin is. If anybody listening to this podcast ever wants to work with Colin is great just on principle that he has kind of an open door policy with ideas. You actually feel involved in the process. Whereas I think there's directors out there who have a vision and everybody is like constantly working to support that vision. Organically, Colin allows there to be room for you. But moving on, there's all kinds of different, you know, opinions and people on set. And like Havey was always great because Havey always found a way to like slip from group to group and just kind of keep things level and grounded and light and fun. And so I'm super grateful that he's finally joining the LA group because like I came out here with a good amount of friends and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that there, in my opinion, should never be, there's never too many people to like have in your pocket, in your corner, who are rooting for you and who we're rooting for them. And so, yeah, man, we're super stoked to have you out here.
It makes a huge difference
really
that you
does.
guys are out here, and you know, we have a rapport and stuff. Makes a big difference.
Heck yeah.
Of course, it makes a huge. I mean, my first few years out here were very difficult because I really didn't. I had to build out my own support system. I didn't really know anyone out here. So, in a way, I guess I'm sort of jealous of you guys getting to come out here and already have people you know out here. Like you know,
We skip the suffering.
what?
We skip
Yeah,
the
no,
suffering.
I did all that suffering so that I can save you guys all. You know, some of it.
It's
But
true.
no, I think it makes a huge difference. Yeah, I'm very grateful that more and more people I know and love and appreciate are moving out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And glad to have you here, though, Havey.
Oh yeah,
It's a pleasure.
I appreciate that.
And
So we finally got to hang out for the first time the other day.
yesterday.
Saw a killer
And,
film.
we
Saw a
did
killer
something.
movie.
Oh yeah, we watched a movie. That's right.
And we're getting rid
oh,
of
right.
Gabe and I have been hitting Havey. We've been hitting a little bit of
A slump.
we were in a Movie Addicts podcast was in a little bit of a slump. I'm not sure if the people were in tune with what was.
I'm gonna make this clear to everybody.
We were slumping.
I'm gonna make this clear.
After that 10. After we had 10 episodes, we thought we were hot shit.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice it.
Jeez Louise,
I'd be lying if I didn't say.
Listen, I appreciate the honesty.
It was a little bit of.
Dude, we got a real one on the podcast right now.
Listen, that's very honest. I appreciate it. Thank you, Havey.
So, Havey, scale of 1 out of 10. How much of it was like a 2 in the last couple episodes?
What started. One thing I identified that I really thought was a departure from what made the podcast previously really good was the outlining of the plot. Like, I felt that wasn't really what should be the.
I also told him about this the other day. Keep going.
Of course, you need to.
You told him about it? That I said it?
No, just shut the fuck up.
Of course, there are context points of the story that you need to, make illuminate a point more. You need to fill in the audience somewhat on what you're talking about. But, going scene by scene, it's
I
a
agree
little
with you,
boring, I think.
Thank you for saying thank you.
I'm gonna take full responsibility for this shit. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Because I was telling your ass a couple
to me.
weeks in a row, I was like, Gabe, it's getting boring.
Here we go. So, guys, this is gonna be hot shit. I don't think you understand.
Yeah,
this is gonna take movie.
Go on.
I
appreciate you taking responsibility, man.
So here's the thing: is being the sole proprietor of all creative content on this show. Of course, I need to be taking responsibility.
You have full ownership now?
I'm just saying.
It was a 50-50 partnership.
I mean, hey, if you want to share responsibility in the fall, then you can go ahead and join the partnership. This is your last chance, Dale. Would you like to join the partnership?
Yes, please.
Now, that said...
Get my lawyer involved. We'll iron it up.
Garcon. Oh, my God. Just walks out with the scripts already ready to go. Sign
my
him.
sunglasses on.
So, thank you.
No, I'm not going to do that yet.
Dude, that's
Keep
a
going.
choice. Bold choice. Okay,
I've become a different person with sunglasses.
Yeah, you want to watch out for that person.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Different character.
So...
when the takes are flying hot, you got to put those on for protection.
Yeah,
I'm here.
When they're flaming, yeah.
So long story short, like me and Dale have been experimenting with we'll say the format of the podcast.
The form, yeah.
And please subscribe, tell us in the comments
like
what
and
works,
subscribe,
what doesn't
like and
work.
subscribe.
Please, like and subscribe. Sponsor.
Like and subscribe.
Yep. So imagine if we were sponsored by Matt Havey. In every episode, we have our guests paying for the episode of the podcast.
It's a pay to play.
Yeah, exactly. Matt, he just threw down a little bit of catered lunch and $250 to be a part of this today.
No, just $250.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
But no, in all seriousness, so we did the Barbarian episode, and for whatever reason, we felt compelled to break it down act by act. And I think part of what it was such a simple plot.
Yeah.
And me and Dale were so excited about just being so surprised and so engaged by a film we didn't know what to expect from. That we were we got to share the moment to moment so
Barbarian
people understand.
tripped us up a little bit because it was such a unique offering.
It was. And after Nope, after The Gray Man, after these other convoluted things, Barbarian was was a simple plot.
Barbarian was a diamond in the rough.
Gray Man, I think, is the best episode. That episode is
a great episode.
It's a great episode.
Probably because the film is the worst film.
It's a great episode. Yeah. Even my manager Andy texted me. Remember he said?
Yeah.
He said the Attic Boys killed this one. And
So-
it's
That's
just
a great
fact.
manager.
Yeah. He listens to the podcast.
And that guy's a great manager.
We're bringing him on in a few weeks.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So that
Anyway.
said, Barbarian started this whole I spoke with some friends. They were super duper into us outlining the plot. They felt engaged. It felt kind of like a radio hour where they're hearing what's happening with the characters and they're dialed into the turn of events sequence by sequence.
Yeah.
But the problem is
Go for it.
Barbarian versus Lyle Crocodile, or even worse, Amsterdam.
Oh,
With breaking down the plot. There's just some films that you don't need to go through the plot every single time. So now
So we won't do this.
we're
that
not.
in this
No.
podcast.
What we're doing today,
we're not doing that.
I think the important thing is anytime we feel like we have a hot take, something that excited us, something that stimulated us, whether it's thematic, character-wise, plot-wise, we're just going to throw it out there. We're going to have a good time. I think it's important to outline cast, budget, and all that good stuff at the top.
Yep.
I think maybe
Basic overview, stat sheet.
Yeah, if we got time, we can hit inciting incidents, maybe the the apex of each act, or even like the final thing. My point is, like, we
Keep
can
it real loose.
we can hit these events if
Yeah.
we feel they're necessary to the
It's gonna be
point
like an
we're
Adam
making.
McKay movie. We're keeping it real loose.
Oh my lord!
Should we dive
please.
into it?
We're improvising. Yeah, let's dive. I mean,
Well,
Gabe,
we're about to
so-
hit this thing you did.
Yeah, so we're about to do that.
This
So
is
I'm
the
gonna give-
famous timer. So
yeah, this time
Is it
it's
famous?
going.
What? Explain to me exactly what is happening. Like,
So what's happening is that there are plenty
because
of
this is
cameras.
a huge part of the show.
There is,
This is a
unfortunately.
staple of the show.
It
Like,
is.
oh, gotta go.
Yep,
And
in
eventually, once we have sponsors, we're gonna put ad breaks in there. Obviously,
Obviously,
you know what I mean.
obviously.
Oh, you're just preparing the audience for it.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
we're
gonna
conditioning
sell
them.
out. If you think we're not gonna sell out as soon as possible, you're
Absolutely.
a moron.
Yeah, we need the money.
Like I need the money.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
stop. You know what I mean? I'm not moralizing any of that.
We're in an
We're
attic.
selling out. What?
We're in an ad.
we're in an attic right
Yeah,
now.
like listen, we need the fucking money. What do you fucking want from me? You know what I mean?
Also, we're gonna stay in the attic, but if you want to pay for us to have like nice toys in
yeah.
the background, that's what we want.
I take that back.
This is
The
gonna be
attic
me.
is cool.
This is gonna be me when I sell out. Just like permanently affixed to my head. Like I get like surgically. I get these sunglasses, surgically attached to my eyes.
That's pretty intense, though.
It's kind of cool.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen,
It's like
without
Morpheus.
further ado,
Yeah.
the Banshees of
INISHERIN, written and directed by Martin McDonagh. Definitely a favorite of mine. I have thoughts on his film Three Billboards that are controversial, but other than that, I like his creative output. So this movie's starring Colin Farrell
crushes
as
it.
It's so the way they pronounce it, it's like Padrek, but it's like Padre. Like how did he says it like Padrek?
I always heard Pollock. That's what I always
Yeah,
heard.
it's like Padre. It's whatever. It's I wish.
Clearly a very Gaelic name.
Anyway, yes. So Brendan Gleeson playing Colin Doherty, Kerry Condon playing Siobhan, Barry Keoghan playing Dominic. So those are really the four primary characters. The other characters are kind of the village
They're the ensemble.
players. Yeah. And written and directed by Martin McDonagh. Martin McDonagh has also done Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is a favorite for people. He's also done what is a favorite for me, which is In Bruges.
I have to see that.
He also has done. He did a short called, I believe it's called Six Shooter. It's incredible if you haven't seen that. He also did a movie called Seven Psychopaths that I actually haven't seen, but I want to watch very soon. We'll be right back with the Movie Addicts podcast. Havey's watching the.
Yeah, I get the front row view.
Yeah.
To the yeah.
And we're back with the Movie Addicts podcast. Yeah, so Banshees of Inisherin was released about a week ago. It's interesting because this is an Oscars contender, so there's sort of a funny thing that happens with these Oscars contenders where like it'll come out in some theaters initially, it'll have like an initial release, and then they'll try to like when Oscars contenders, there's always a huge team of people behind the film's Oscars potential, right? So there's basically marketing executives, there's awards executives at like for example at Searchlight, there's producers, there's the representatives for the actors who are in the movie pushing. There's basically like a herd of people, of business people pushing behind the scenes for the movie to have the best chance to win an Oscar possible. This is one of those movies. What that means is that it affects the way the movie's rolled out. So right now, I believe the movie's getting like a sort of a funny release of like, it's like kind of a limited release at the moment, but then it's eventually going to go wide. That's how like a lot of these things tend to go. Like when you get these like October, November, December, even January releases, like, January doesn't count actually, but
Hot take, I'll put this out here. We were chatting about it before the podcast. If Colin Farrell wins anything for this,
yeah,
even though he didn't win nothing for Batman,
yeah,
I'll be upset.
I don't get what you mean.
His performance in Batman was phenomenal, and this
Batman's not going to be up for an Oscar though. Yeah, that's just kind of how it works.
But
Okay,
that's what I get.
What?
What do you
I think the
mean?
point.
That's kind of how it, like genre movies don't really
Did
go
Batman
up for
come out
Oscars.
this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Right? It did, right?
I don't remember. It wasn't last November?
Wasn't it?
Batman
May?
was
It was
a
like May or
2021
something.
movie. Am I tripping?
I can't remember.
Yo, hold on.
I think it was last November. But this is what I'm getting at, and I really
I
appreciate
don't
it
know
if
if we're going
you...
to go down this avenue, but okay, go on.
I really don't think you should be reductive towards my ass. Thank you, Dale. Because
I like how. See, this is what we needed back with it. We needed to be on the verge of
Shut the
warfare.
fuck up. I'm talking right now, bitch.
Art of War,
All
Sun
right?
Tzu.
Listen to me. I don't care what you're talking about. All right? Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Shut the
Is
fuck up.
that what I said? Holy shit,
Listen
dude.
to my ass. Listen to my ass right now. All right? Before
It's a
I
2022 film.
It
Batman
is.
is,
Okay,
yes.
okay. So here's the thing, Is the Batman Oscar fodder? No. Was The Lord of the Rings, which is a genre-heavy film? Yes. La-di-da. There are plenty
What was
of
The Lord of the Rings up for?
So many things. The Lord of the Rings,
Special effects and stuff.
no, tons of stuff. Like best score. I think it may have won best film. I don't remember. What I do remember is that poor Pirates of the Caribbean got snubbed by Lord of the Rings in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
My point is, let's consider the fact that both of his performances were on the table for awards, even outside of Oscars. His performance was off the hook in the Batman. And, like, he's beautiful, but I feel like he's doing his Colin Farrell thing in this film. And I felt like the Batman, his performance as the Penguin is such an underrated, like, critically underrated performance. And it shouldn't be. Like, that shit was exceptional. Exceptional.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. Well, first of all, the Oscar nominations haven't been announced yet, obviously. So, like, we're a ways away from that. I think we can have a different conversation when those actually roll out.
Okay.
What the point I was trying to make was that the movie has made just under 6 million worldwide after about a week. However, that's not reflective of like how it's actually going to do, because the thing with these Oscar contenders is that once they see how the movie's doing, as we get closer to the Oscars, they start to get a wider release. They keep pushing hard for it, and then the movie, if it wins an award, gets another bump financially. Where it could land on the best VOD services, the best streaming services. Sales are made after the Oscars, especially.
Cool.
Basically, I'm coming to appreciate, as someone who wants to make films like this, I'm coming to appreciate like the machinery that happens behind the scenes to like make films like this financially viable.
Yeah.
Okay, Batman. I hear you on the Batman thing.
I'm more concerned about
but
the
a movie
fact
like
that
Batman gets made regardless of perceived. There's less perceived risk with a movie like the Batman.
It's got IP behind it. It's got a fan base.
Then the Banshees of Inisherin, which is an original flick. It's very hard to get original movies made. And so in some ways you do need, I root for a movie like this because you need the machinery behind it to make so that movies like this that have like, that are exploring big, important human themes can keep getting made because,
don't you kind of wish...
I get it. The Batman kind of wins no matter what.
Again, I'm just talking about
That's
Colin
just
Farrell's
my feeling.
performance. We don't got to talk about which film needs more help. That's fine. You can shoot me in the head. I'm coming back for your ass. I will banshee your ass into the dirt.
I love the Batman, and you know I love the Batman, and I love Colin Farrell in it.
Dale says he loves the Batman as if like it's an obvious thing, as if he doesn't hate every single other superhero film to come out in the last 15 years other than Christian Bale.
Okay, I didn't know this is where we were going. Here's the thing about that.
Let's go. Let's pull up.
I don't love Marvel movies.
You hate Marvel movies.
I hate them.
Dale aligns with Scorsese on this one.
I don't
do
like
like
them either.
And to
for the
pretend
record.
otherwise, it looks like
Here's
I'm
the
in
thing,
the
though.
minority
Here's the thing.
here.
We're gonna
It's
do
fine.
Black Panther on the Movie Addicts podcast. I liked
And
the
Dale's
Black
gonna
Panther
love it.
movies.
Dale's gonna love it.
I liked the first Black Panther. You know why I liked it though? Because it was a movie for fucking adults. Okay, it was a movie where the characters, even the villains, hold the fuck on, Gabe. No, because. It was a movie for adults because even the villains, you understood where they were coming from. They weren't just all bad. Because that's not fucking reality. I don't like Marvel movies where, like, at the end of the Captain Marvel, she just gets all the powers. She's God now.
Captain Marvel
I don't want to see a movie about God. I don't want to see it.
Literally
because God is all powerful.
Dale,
I don't want to see that.
What obstacles
Does God wake up and have to like pay rent?
You
No.
citing Captain Marvel
What?
as an example of a Marvel film is terrible. Because newsflash, the majority, like 90% of Marvel fans, did not like Captain Marvel.
Because it was fucking awful.
Out of 22 films in the Infinity Saga, Captain Marvel.
No disagreeing over here.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, no disagreeing.
Marvel movies.
Cite another film.
But now
Cite
it's like
another film.
now everything's Marvel. I want to like hang myself. That's why I need this movie to be successful.
Here's the bigger question.
I need this movie to be successful, man.
Here's the bigger.
I want to go back to the thing I said about like when I was watching this movie with you. It felt like I was showing you a movie I had made, and I was having a panic attack. Okay,
all right,
go on.
I'll just drop this question.
Why am I sweating?
Because I feel like you guys will have interesting
'Cause you're
things to
tight.
say about it.
Are you rattled, Dale?
No, I'm not.
Do you
Go on.
do you think abundance to put it kindly, of Marvel films is a reflection of a healthy movie industry, or a reflection of a kind of a ill movie industry?
I think a floundering movie industry. It's basically like a movie industry. I think it's a movie industry that has abandoned the idea of a script being the basis of a good film. It's basically like lazy writing wins all day long. Gabe, this is a fucking fact. It's basically like, what are the best screenwriters in this business working on Marvel drafts of Marvel movies? I don't think so. Call me fucking crazy.
Yeah, and I think
some great directors are working on Marvel films. That's true.
It
right?
Also just screams how, obviously moneyed interest has always been a part of the film industry, but it really seems to me that it's an indictment on the departure of there's obviously innovative films being made, but the fact that the ones that people go to see are just, in my opinion, cookie cutter from something that,
I want to make one more point. And I know you disagree with me, and I know that you can articulately explain why you disagree. Fine. I don't know where adult entertainment went.
Thank you for making my point for me.
I don't know where adult entertainment... Where did it go? We were watching Gray Man. I was disturbed by Gray Man. I was disturbed by it. Because I'm like, it's almost as if it's for children, but it's definitely not, because they're saying fuck every other word. And so I'm like, basically, the thing Layla said was one of the most disturbing things. Not that she's a disturbing person. What she said, the ramifications of what she said, I think this movie is for adults with low intelligence. That was one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard, because I thought she was absolutely right. And that's where, like, Marvel movies, that's my fear. My fear-based response is that if this is all that we get for adult entertainment, I don't know where our generation's going to be in 20 years, like, intellectually.
I think it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of things going on.
That's a concern I have.
I think on the one hand, there's a lot of credit to what you're saying.
Can I just say the Movie Addicts podcast is back?
We're back.
We were hit a slump. We're back.
We're back, son. Let's go.
God, I'm
Havey,
fired up.
give me some nuts. Let's go. Let's go. All right, so hear me out.
Did you set the timer? All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, so
we're back.
Listen to me.
We're back.
We need to understand that according to what Eva's saying, there is a reality. Layla, thank you.
It wasn't Eva who said it, was Layla.
Noted. There was a reality, that what is expected of young adults, and depending on their age, as a culture, as a generation, we're slowly getting like older and older kids. Do you follow?
Yo, listen. You're spitting you're spitting facts right now.
So
okay, go on.
The reality is, I think that might continue to happen as like 30s are the new 20s, and like we've got like people wearing,
yeah. And I'm just gonna continue to want to die every day.
Right. So that's true. That is true.
Sunglasses permanently on forever.
But you cannot deny the fact.
This is why I relate to people in their 50s more than I do like most people I meet in their 20s.
You cannot.
I'm not kidding. It's true.
You cannot.
Present company excluded.
Deny.
You're great too.
You're great too. The fact that everybody loves a good Coliseum with a couple lions and a couple gladiators. That's been around for 2,000 years.
Yeah, that's absolutely
It's going to be
true.
around for another 2,000 years. So
is that really Marvel though?
I believe it is.
Some superhero with like powers that
I kind of agree with you. I think there's something more sophisticated about bread and circuses in the Roman Colosseum than Marvel.
Like
No.
these are.
No.
You think it's the same phenomenon?
I think it's
Phenomenon.
I think at its base, it's the same phenomenon. Are there?
I thought you both just said phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
All right, sorry. Go on.
Phenomenon. So no, I really think that they're on its base level. Sure, did the Romans have like a whole class system, and there was a lot of like terrible shit happening? Yes. Did the Romans have monarchs rolling up? Sure. I'm sure there was also tons of philosophers who were watching people get ripped apart too. But at its base level, people rolling up because they see somebody who is struggling, is endowed power, and has to choose whether or not to use that responsibly, and then like forces of evil come against them, and will they overcome them or not? that's in every bit of culture, every mythology, including the Colosseum and the struggle to survive. I think we do need that. There is a place for that in our society. What you guys are getting at is it's becoming rampant. And there's becoming...
It's becoming everything.
Which could be a big point to, like, who are the culture creators, who's making the art. Because now Disney's not only in charge of Marvel, they're also in charge of Star Wars and a like of other things, you know? Like,
yeah.
But we can't hit the reset button on this. What needs to happen, I think, is there just needs to be more money and attention put towards the other things. I don't know if, like, tomato throwing is going to stop the Marvel empire. I think what needs to happen is we just need to get more money in the other stuff to remind the ones who are in charge, who are producing her studio heads, that, like, people also want this too.
Yes.
And so thankfully movies like this get made, and hopefully it survives Oscar season. And
I think it's just it's become clearer to me of late why the Oscars are important. Is that's what I'm.
Why they
getting.
are important.
Why they are important. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think for a while I sort of
Dale.
got very cynical about the Oscars, but I think I'm now realizing why they're important.
Dale, remember when I said you're a bitch this morning?
Yeah. When did you say that?
You're a bitch.
Why am I? Wait. Explain why. Why are you so surprised? What's up, man? Movie Eyes Podcast is back.
There's a lot of love on this podcast today.
There is.
There's a lot
We
of
were
love.
in a
It's
slump.
good.
Gabe and I, when we were in our slump, we'd call each other. We'd just leave awful voicemails.
Yeah.
On each other's.
Yeah. Just making fun of each other.
Just saying, you're a bitch, I hate you, I never want to talk to you again, all this stuff.
Bitch.
What you were surprised by my thing about the Oscars?
Yeah, because you're a sellout.
I just think...
I'm just saying, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone who's at home, if you don't think Dale, when he took all his money from his last Oscar film and chose to get cosmetic surgery and stick those sunglasses to his
permanently
skull...
affixed, yeah.
You think those locks in his head are real? No.
No,
they're not.
No.
Hair plugs.
I actually grew that hair, and
Yeah.
then they cut it, and then they put it on his
My
head.
hair is basically like, what are those things called, where you grow the grass on, like, Homer Simpson's
Chia
head?
pet?
Chia pet.
My hair is like Chia Pet technology.
Dale takes Gatorade and Red Bull every morning and just...
Yeah. Well, here's the thing about Oscars. Like, now I'm realizing, like, I really want to win one.
Really?
No, like, literally, dude. Like, I think that's, like, kind of where I belong.
Yeah.
And, you know...
Wait, explain that. What do you mean belong? Like,
'Cause
is there a specific...
I think I'm not unpretentious enough to participate in the Marvel side of things.
Okay.
But I'm just pretentious enough to make, like, a Banshees of Inisherin be up for an Oscar, that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's kind of, I'm realizing that's kind of where because some people are like, your movies are too smart. And I'm like, I don't really, all right.
Someone
great.
said that to you?
I've got through grad school, and now that I'm taking meetings, I get different kinds of messaging, is what I would say.
Right. Love that.
Sometimes it's, I hate you, you think you're better than me, and I'm like, I actually don't think I'm better than you, but okay. And some people are like, wow, you're really smart, and this is smart, and I like this, and like, okay, this is like this would be a good project, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I like that feels good to have someone take me seriously enough. But then there's some people who, like, they perceive me as taking myself too seriously, and so they want to put me down.
I think it's a healthy balance is a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think a film can be too complicated and, you know, too intelligent, or too intellectual, rather.
I agree with you. That's the thing, is I'm not interested in making that kind of stuff, though. But then some people will try to put me in that box. And so that's why I said the thing. I want to loop back.
Don't put Colin Dale in that box.
I want
Don't do that.
bring it back to the Banshees of Inisherin, because watching this movie eliciting these kinds of thoughts for me. Because, like I said to you in the kitchen downstairs, like I said, watching Banshees of Inisherin with you, it was as if it was my movie, and I was showing it to you.
Yeah.
And you didn't know what the movie was going to be, and I go, Gabe, I just made my new movie. It's called The Banshees of Inisherin. I want to show it to you. And you're silent. You were basically silent the whole movie, and I'm laughing my ass off, and I'm kind of looking over at you. I'm like, what's going on with Gabe? What does he think about it? Does he think it's
I
stupid?
was laughing throughout the film.
Okay, see, but I was having a
To be
crisis.
fair, you were the loudest person laughing in that theater.
No,
I
it's like,
hate
which
the LA
I wanna-
audiences. They're the fucking worst.
I do want to point out, Dale is
It's
one
just
of
a
the
bunch
most.
of like, it's a bunch of like, just people like in suits and like bolo ties, and they're like, like every couple. I'm like, are you
how
fucking
interesting.
kidding me?
Right, exactly.
You know,
I'm like-
actually,
I'm like-
I will counter a little bit because I noticed, at least you've obviously been here, but when you go to like a Northeast theater, there's not like pockets of people sitting there analyzing the movie. Like we were there,
Which is what I like. I like watching with those audiences because that's when you get the real response.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed
go on.
afterwards we were not alone in our like yearning to sit down and digest and discuss a little bit immediately of what we just saw.
Yeah,
there was
I think
like
there were a few
people
other
over there,
pockets of
people
people,
over there,
yeah.
and I feel like that's makes sense in LA.
That's why I love Martin McDonagh's work though. Is because he's wrestling with big human
Let's
themes.
jump into the film. I'm really interested to see.
Yeah.
Hey,
'Cause
he was
I know-
busting.
Because I know that we disagree just based on like the little
okay.
breadcrumbs that you've been leaving
Okay.
thus far.
Yeah.
You mind if I don't want to steer the ship
Yeah,
here, but
yeah.
let me throw the question
Havey,
at
steer
you.
that shit.
No, go
Let me-
for it.
let me,
Go for it.
I guess we'll leave final verdict for the end, but what do you feel is the most your key takeaway, good or bad, from the film? Like, what do you sit with here now as being the major impression?
Gabe, do you want to answer that first? Do you have an answer to that question?
I mean, I
It's a good
will
question.
say just very simply, if we're really going just like gut feeling walking out of there, the thing that stood out to me most in the film is the fact that, like, oh my goodness, are there people in my life who don't want to be friends with me anymore?
Oh, that was
Yeah.
your reaction. Interesting.
Well, it's not so much a reaction.
Are
as
you Colin Farrell in this? Like, do you feel like you aligned with Colin Farrell
I'm saying that they're.
with Poddick? How do we fucking
I'm gonna
say
say
this?
I'm gonna
fucking
say
name?
Pollock. Just say Pollock and
Poddick. Yeah, Poddick.
Forget the letters and the pronouns. Just
The
go with,
Irishman
like,
in me wants to get it right, and I can't.
We can practice
Sorry,
that later on.
ancestors.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
Sorry.
they're just rolling over in their grave of potatoes and dirt. It's fine. So, no, for me, yeah, it's not so much like my key takeaway definitely identified with only one character. It's just I walked out and I was like, again, if we're talking simple, surface level, knee-jerk reaction, there's so much we can sparse apart with this film, and we will. But the knee-jerk is just like, are there people in my life who stop being friends with me for like a specific reason or for no reason at all? And then going from
Okay,
there,
this
we
is
were
interesting.
talking as well about perception. I think the big thing also is, what are perceptions? Like, does the way I perceive myself and the version of myself that I share with others that is earnest? You know, it's not like I'm making something artificial. But Gabe, intrinsically, earnestly presenting himself to others, am I completely off the ball as to how I'm perceived? Because every character in this film does not realize
yeah.
that they're dull, they're mean, they're unexciting. Remember when Dominic asked the sister Siobhan,
Yes.
"Are you wild?" And she was going to lose her shit because she knew what he was saying.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
I didn't. What was
I think
he
he
trying
wa-
to say?
I think
what was
he
trying to get
trying
at?
to figure out if she like is a good romp in the sack.
Right.
If she like
Right, that's what I thought.
pleases
Okay,
her
okay.
man.
Okay.
Well,
And-
I think that particular scene,
he's sexually attracted to her.
Yes.
To Siobhan.
And she
Dominic is.
clearly hasn't been in a relationship for years because she's living with her brother in their
And
40s.
she asks Poddick, like, do you ever get lonely? And he goes, what's wrong with everyone? He doesn't.
Oh, there's
he's
some
not able
weird
to
stuff
hold
going
her
on there.
emotions. Like, she's asking him a very deep question of, like, do you ever get lonely? Like, do you ever think that maybe, like, she's asking a big question, and Poddick is not able to hold.
Well, you know what's funny is I
Hold the
really
question.
interpreted that moment not so much as him rejecting her,
I didn't-
but
I
more
didn't think he
so
was
that
rejecting her.
like he's sick and tired of everybody asking him,
Yes.
like, "Are you a lonely guy?"
That's why he phrases it as what's wrong with everybody. He feels
Yeah.
like there's something happening. I don't understand it, and it's clearly shaping my present circumstances in a way that it's not working for me. So it's like a general. He's asking, he's asking in general what's wrong with everybody.
Also, should we just outline for those maybe who are unaware, like what the story is, just big picture?
Yeah.
Would you guys agree that this is an absurdist film? To me,
there's an element in there. Yeah.
I categorized it basically as an absurdist film. Just a quick snapshot. It's about a small island, really secluded island.
It's a fictitious island, by the way.
Early
INISHERIN,
20th century Ireland.
It's 1923 specifically, just to be clear.
And the film centers around a friendship, or the crumbling of a friendship. A man is distraught over the fact that he no longer has a friendship with this person we are to assume they have had a long friendship. And it gets to the point where the older man, who no longer likes his friend, is compelled to start self-mutilating himself if the other friend, Colin Farrell's character, doesn't stop bothering him.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that I didn't like this film that we can get into is, it's even difficult to describe, I guess, like the movie, which of course isn't inherently bad, but so I kind of wanted one of the things big takeaway for me was the notion of absurdism in film. To me, the very fact that you don't think it's all the way absurdist is actually my biggest critique of the film. To me, it didn't go all the way. It was in this weird spot where it didn't commit fully to being absurd. It wanted to use absurd. It was lazy with the fact that it used absurd elements when it kind of wanted to.
Being like the fingers being chopped off.
Yeah, like there was too many genuine, heartfelt, real, heavily realistic moments of humanity that I was left wanting more of those, and then they just kind of threw in these absurdist elements.
Yeah. That
I didn't think that the film, to me, dealt with its absurdity in the best way it could. It was like, is this absurdist film or isn't it? I'll let you guys.
I'll say I do think I have a different takeaway. Like that is, I think we are, and call me crazy, I think we see so many ridiculous, insane shit things on screen in movies.
Yeah.
And we see people having crazy reactions to those things that we have a... call me crazy. I think we have a warped perspective of what we would actually do in these circumstances. And and this is why I think that's a good point. This is why I like Martin McDonagh, is because in this film, especially, in spite of some of his work that I have seen or have not seen, this film, I think he nails what you're calling absurdist elements.
Havey's breaking out the notes right now.
I came prepared.
What we call absurdist elements.
I was excited.
And are used to kind of like illustrate like superficial and very deep moments. These absurdist elements of, for instance, somebody self-mutilating them as an attempt to tell somebody to stop bothering them. I think if that actually happened to me, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I would be like really quiet and then horrified and scared at the fact that, like, am I responsible for this? Is he actually in pain? We live on an island and we've been friends for 40-something years.
Yeah.
There's no hospital anywhere. And the guy's just throwing his fingers at my door?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell's going on?
And from Poddick's perspective, Colin is being pretty unreasonable, actually. His Poddick's perspective makes a lot of sense. Because Colin, he goes, Colin liked him yesterday.
Yeah.
He says that. He says, but you liked me yesterday. Right? Which suggests that there was a whole reality that existed the day prior.
Yeah.
Like, the movie is starting on a day where Colin has decided I'm gonna act completely different than I've been acting. And he's actually taking a very extreme approach, which is I'm not even gonna talk to my friend that I was talking to yesterday today. Because I need to change everything. And I think I was watching a press thing that Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson did, and Brendan Gleeson said he's like, admittedly, I think there's something sort of desperate in Colin's pursuit of this new chapter in his life. There's something pretty desperate in midlife crisis about it.
Okay.
and it's very extreme.
That was my.
And I was
probably
like,
my
I think that's a good point, and it's something worth throwing in the mix. I don't know.
That was my favorite element of the film was his crisis, and
Yes, me too.
and the subsequent relationship, therefore, to Colin Farrell's character. That's why I thought. I'll go back to the absurdity thing just to kind of to flesh that out a bit more. It presented us this beautiful, complex moment where Brendan Gleeson's character says to Colin Farrell, like, I don't want to spend the rest of my days talking to a dullard. And it's, I thought that was very, very clear, concise, honest. We can all kind of relate and understand that. And it cuts to the core of us, our self-consciousness, what it is to sort of, what's our perception of ourselves, and what does that mean for self-worth. It gives us that beautiful gem. To me, you can't abandon that with just like these kind of weird, absurd, jokey moments that are like, seem to me to take away from that pursuit. We'll get back.
Yeah, we'll be back with the Movie Addicts podcast. Havey's on his pulpit right now. He's making some great points. And we're back. It's the Movie Addicts podcast. Havey, keep fleshing out your point.
So to me, I was thinking about what it is to me, at least, absurdism done in art. To me, absurdism takes what we deem to be deep and sentimental, and removes us from it to such an extent where we can then laugh at it and be like, oh, that's actually ridiculous. Like, we think it's deep and sentimental, but actually it's quite absurd. It's ridiculous. This film doesn't detach us far enough to where the absurdity is really kind of supporting itself. To me, it weaves in and out of like a really grounded, realistic movie, which we then crave, fulfilling things like character arcs, and we want to go deeper inside the character, but it like teases us with the humanity of these characters, just to then kind of, bring us back into this absurd thing where we're supposed to accept this world as absurd. To me, it didn't make a bold enough choice. I would have liked them to have either been even more absurd, more ridiculous, like, really critique every aspect of that situation, instead of kind of doing an in and out thing. Like, you have these, my favorite moments of the film, like I said, Brendan Gleeson discussing his life and how it relates to Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell in the bar, proclaiming his viewpoint on niceness and standing up for his self-worth, and Dominic's character going to Colin Farrell's sister and basically asking, can you give me a chance? That chance of love we all can relate to. Those are my favorite moments, but those were, the film, those were few and far between, and it was I found myself frustrated because it gave us, like I said, it was teasing us with it. In between were these long moments of absurdity that felt totally detached from those moments, and it gave us that in the very beginning as a core, as a driver of the film, but then it didn't really honor it, like, you know what I mean? So I felt that it was I didn't like its use of absurdity or dark humor, whatever you call it, because I didn't think it was bold enough in it. I didn't think it permeated the film quite enough. I just didn't like the mix. Like, I thought there was a lot of great points unexplored and like great performances left untapped. Like, there were great performances, don't get me wrong, but for every scene that was beautifully written and performed, there was this, somewhat funny, absurd scene, which, that you were kind of have to accept because it's a comedy, dark comedy. You kind of understood that, but so there was things I liked about it. But I more things I felt took me out of it. I was to be honest happy for it to be over.
Yeah.
Because I just knew, like, at some point I was like, okay, this isn't going to satisfy the parts in me that I want satisfied. This isn't going to explore in the ways I want the characters to be explored. And it and conversely, it didn't go all the way absurdist either. Like, there wasn't enough, it wasn't that ridiculous at the end either to sort of really shift my perspective on things. I didn't know what to think, and in addition to the absurdity, I thought interpretation and symbols all over the place. I thought way too many symbols shouldn't be, in my opinion, a driver of the film. They should be a supplement, like
a tool.
To me, it seems like this movie is totally reliant on the idea, okay, you're supposed to interpret this as something. You're also supposed to interpret that as another thing. Oh, yeah, and this thing, you're also supposed to interpret that. And so I was like, halfway through, I was like, okay, I can't even frame my interpretation of this film because the symbols are so quickly accumulating and they're so vague. It's like, don't get me wrong, I think interpretation's a huge part of any storytelling in art. But it was like, I couldn't even, craft my own interpretation. So I was just left there having to sort of stare at eventually hollow symbols. Like,
what are you thinking of in terms of the symbols?
The mule, the older woman,
the donkey,
the cutting of the fingers, the pug.
Well, the older woman is not a symbol. She's an archetypal. She's like an archetypal character that's sort of thrown in for a few things. It seems like comedic relief. She's also meant to be sort of the blind prophet in the story.
Well, the banshee, she might actually be the banshee. I looked it up.
Good point.
I didn't know what a banshee was, but a banshee's a person who, like a ghostly woman who screeches the impending death of like.
Okay,
a
so
family
she
member.
is the banshee in the story then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But,
got it. So she's not necessarily a symbol. She's
But Havey's getting at things that feel like symbol or not. That feel like I feel like the writer-director is trying to tell me this is important and it can be interpreted in a bunch of ways.
Yeah.
And why does it need to feel so like just deep all the time?
I think.
Havey, have you seen Everything Everywhere All the Time?
I have not.
Okay, so I'm really curious if you'd be like not into that film or into that.
See,
film.
that's an example of a movie that has, in my opinion, like
a full commitment,
an insane amount of definitely a full commitment, but a full commitment to like symbolism.
Yes.
Whereas I sort of disagree with you, Havey. I don't think the symbolism in this is too much. To me, what I was focusing on the most were the characters and their dynamics and the performances and kind of the emotions at play. I think on a second watch, I would pick up more of those symbols that you're talking about and what those mean. But those weren't distracting to me. And I don't know. I guess that is in Martin McDonagh's writing is sort of this like open-endedness might be the right way to put it. Like, it's wrestling with big questions. It's basically answering questions with questions, and then it just ends.
I will say,
and that is kind of his work, it seems, in a nutshell, is he does answer questions with questions, and they're always like answering one big question with another big question. And I find that to be like, that can be really artful, and I think in the case of this movie, in my opinion, it is pretty artful. I can understand why that would be frustrating. Because maybe I wonder, Havey, like, would you prefer Martin McDonagh to have almost a heavier hand as a director and less of a heavy hand as a writer? Like, would that make this movie more satisfactory to you? If he was, like, going more heavy on visual vocabulary, a visual language, and heavier on cinematic devices and less heavy on like dense writer devices and tricks and tools.
That's a good question. I think probably the former there.
So you think if he was heavier handed as a director but not as a writer, you would have enjoyed it more?
Yeah, I think so. Just to sum it up, it needed to be weirder for the weirdness to not distract from the beautiful moment.
For the weirdness to not feel out of place, I think is right.
Well,
right.
It was sort of like the mix, if you want to talk about, what's the balance of the absurdity in the film, or I didn't find it to be a complementary balance of, grounded, realistic, heartfelt moments and
Yeah.
silly, goofy absurdity. It didn't make a choice either way. It felt like it was trying to do to both, and I didn't feel it deserved that. I didn't feel it deserved to just suddenly all of a sudden be weird and absurd when you gave us all this other juicy stuff, and I didn't think it deserved not to give us more resolutions and more, and you know what I mean. I just
yeah.
because if it was fully absurd, I think if it really drove home absurdity, then yeah, we don't need to be written out a statement of what the film's about. We don't need to tie up all the loose ends, but it does explain in some key areas the answers to things. It ties in pretty clearly social ramifications. What is it to actually economically go out and fight for your self-worth? What is it to self-perceive? What is niceness? What is a community? It was very clearly tying in some of those things. But then if you're gonna do that, I feel like you have to commit to really clear, realistic storytelling. I'm repeating myself at this point, but I just
I feel like a big question that we're trying to get down to was, are the absurd moments justified?
Exactly.
And it sounds like you're saying no.
I'm saying no.
And for me, I'll put it out there. I currently am operating under the guise that they are, but I think it's because I just walked away with a different feeling. Dale and Havey, I'm curious what your thoughts on this. So there was a point in the film where everybody keeps asking Colin, are you dreary? What's the word they used? Not
Depressed?
Depressed, but they also used another word. Do you recall what that other word is?
No.
Can't.
We'll go with depressed. But
They keep saying depressed. The word depressed gets thrown in the mix.
there was another word they used for depressed.
Oh,
though.
despair. The priest keeps asking him about despair.
Are you despaired?
Yeah, the priest asks him about despair several times.
Yeah, and so throughout the film, the absurd comes in where it's like, no, I'm not depressed. I'm just cutting my fingers off because you're being impossible and you're not understanding my word. You're not respecting my word. And then there was a moment later in the film where he said, yes, maybe I am despaired. And when that happened in the film, it hit me like a ton of bricks because I was like, this man,
he's basically suicidal.
From the day
by the way.
one,
Yeah.
yes, from day one of the film, from the first moment, poor Pollock goes up to him and says, but you wanted to be friends with me yesterday.
Yeah.
And he said, that was yesterday. And for me, I'm like, well, I know people in my life who have become depressed, and sometimes it is a switch. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I think Colin has hit something that he's experienced in the past, and now it's back. And for him, there's a certain lucidity in it that is masking the despair. Because in his mind, rationally, as we said, his home's by the sea, he's in his latter years of his life. How else to justify my existence but to spend time not with a dullard, but in art and in music? And so I think that was his justification. But in my mind, justifying the absurdity, when I realized that he's actually despairing, he's depressing, and he says to I think he says to Siobhan, if not, I forget who, he says that, like, is he just trying to keep things entertaining in life? That hit me too, because I'm like, this guy is doing. He knows it's ridiculous.
There's a scene where he asks Siobhan, like, sometimes I just worry that I'm entertaining myself until, like, to stave off the inevitable.
And so that basically means that, like, he is doing purposefully irrational things because life is so boring. What is there to do but something that I could never imagine doing?
But
like
also, he's not willing to leave the island. That's the other thing.
I don't think that's an option for him. I
and
just
why?
Don't
Why is that?
I wish I could say that's not something I have an answer to.
Because Siobhan leaves. She goes to the mainland.
Yeah, but to be fair, Siobhan's heart lives in literature, and there is no literature on the island. She goes to the mainland for the library.
Yes.
There are resources. There's Metropolis,
Yeah.
For Colin, his whole life is here. And at the pub, which I thought was cool that it said public house. I never realized pub was short for public house.
Yo, interesting.
That's so cool.
I did not know that either.
Yeah. And so for me, I was sitting there and I was just like, this guy is so incredibly depressed that the only thing that he can do to keep himself alive is do ridiculous things to get a reaction out of himself and out of others. And therefore, he will cut his fingers off. It's kind of like when people say... It's kind of like when people say...
I disagree on the latter part of your point.
It's kind of like when people say that... and at least... I might be complete... Please let me finish. I've had friends in the past, never to name names, but they would cut themselves.
Yeah.
And
Self-harm.
Self-harm. And they would say how, like, yeah, sometimes in my darkest days... I would cut it just to know that I felt something. Because emotionally they were devoid.
Yeah.
And so that's the connection I'm making here, is that the guy is just feeling disconnected from his community.
That's interesting. So you think maybe he would have done something similar anyway, and it was an excuse to do it. He would have mutilated himself in some way, either be spiritual or physical, and he was just kind of latching on to Colin Farrell's character as like a quick excuse. Like he knew that he was going to talk to him.
I think it's very complex.
His request is so simple, though. It's like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And Colin and Padraig can't do that.
And
I think also he's not cutting off his fingers for attention.
Not necessarily attention, but to feel alive.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think
I agree with that.
He literally says that.
When does he say that?
He says, I'm concerned that I'm trying to just entertain myself.
Yes.
And yes.
He's not referring to cutting his fingers off when he says that. He's referring to playing the fiddle.
No, I feel like he was, when I think entertaining himself, I think they were talking about the bullshit. Like, how long is this going to last? How many more fingers are you going to cut off? And during that conversation, it's literally the scene.
I don't think that's what he's talking about.
Siobhan goes to his house, and they're talking about the absurdity of him cutting his fingers off.
Yeah.
And in the despair.
I thought that was a change of topic in that scene.
I didn't interpret it at all as that.
I
Because they weren't talking about...
I think he's talking about playing the fiddle.
We're on different pages then.
No, he's talking about the whole charade with Colin Farrell's character. That's what he means by staving off the inevitable.
Wait,
cutting
so
off his
your
fingers.
interpretation is that he's cutting off his fingers so that for almost for like some form of entertainment?
I'm saying this is an interpretation, and if it were to be true, he is so depressed and bored with this terrible island that he realizes he's just going to die on, and his life means nothing. That the absurdity of cutting one of his fingers off, something that nobody could ever imagine, well, now he's done the unimaginable.
He's admitting that he doesn't know.
No, but you're forgetting that the whole movie, he's composing this song.
Yeah, for sure.
And he doesn't finish it until pretty late in the movie.
And the moment he finishes the song, also, he cuts all his fingers off.
Because Colin Farrell comes to talk to him.
And you could also make
and
the
he wants
argument...
to follow through on his...
Sure, but you could also make the argument that after he finishes the song... He's still looking for something else to entertain himself still.
Well, I think this is actually a good...
you realize that the song didn't give him exactly
because he's like,
what
when
he
are
wanted.
you... Here's the thing. This is where I have to admit, my experience in the movie, I'm with Brendan Gleeson. To me, I'm aligning with Brendan Gleeson's character. I'm aligning with Padraig the most.
Okay.
Brendan Gleeson's
Colin.
I'm sorry, Colin. Not Colin Farrell. I'm aligning with Brendan Gleeson's character, Colin, the most.
Yeah.
I have some amount of empathy for Colin Farrell's character, but I am aligning the most with Colin because I understand the despair and the desire for people to evolve and change, people around you to evolve and change, and how infuriating is an understatement, but how infuriating it is for you to be trying to evolve and people around you basically don't even know what that means, and they have no plan. It leaves the burden on you to be the catalyst for change.
Yeah.
So all this stuff in this little town, the suggestion in the movie is that all this stuff starts kind of changing. People's attitudes, the way they're moving, the way they're interacting with each other is changing because of Colin.
Yeah.
Because Colin does one simple thing. He has one simple request. He says, "Don't talk to me anymore. I don't want to be your friend. And if you keep every time you talk to me, I'm going to cut another finger off." Then all of a sudden, people's behavior in the town, on INISHERIN, it kind of changes. Truths are coming out that don't usually come out.
Dale, I think it could be both.
I think it is, but I'm saying I have to admit that my experience of the film is I'm aligning with Colin.
I get
I'm
that.
not. I think Patrick needs to kind of figure
Respect him.
something out.
For sure.
I
for sure.
agree.
There's sort of this and he's just Patrick is he's a maniac. He's a fucking idiot. And to the extent that
He's kind of a
his
menace in some ways.
he's a right, and the menace
Explain
of
that.
it all.
That's interesting.
It doesn't come out till the end, because then he's all of a sudden, "I'm going to set your house on fire." It's like, dude, think about it though. Colin never said, "If you talk to me again, I'm going to set your house on fire." That's not what he fucking said. He said, "I'm going to cut my own finger off. I'll self-mutilate. I'm not going to do something that actually affects you."
Yeah.
But Patrick's solution is, "I'm going to set your fucking house on fire."
That's how insecure he is.
Yeah.
And to be fair, at that point, I would even go as far to say is Pollock is not setting his house on fire because he's mad at Colin. I think he's setting his house on fire because he's mad at the world. At this point, his sister has left him. Colin is the reason, indirectly or not, for the death of his best friend, who's a donkey. And so now it's like, oh, and by the way, everybody in town thinks I'm a dullard, and including this banshee woman who keeps talking to me cryptically, like nobody respects me.
But what Patrick sees as the world is not the world. His world is tiny, tiny,
not
tiny,
everybody
tiny.
else's world. You have to remember that some could argue that perception is reality.
Until there's a glitch in your reality, which is Colin saying, "Don't fucking talk to me anymore."
Yes, but
that's
Colin,
the glitch in.
Colin also has multiple moments that his reality is glitched. When he sits there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's, but I really don't think it has to be one or the other. I really do believe that Colin could experience a depressive state. In that depressive state, he is still logically making a transactional request. Just don't bother me, and I won't cut my fingers off. But it doesn't change the fact that, I'm very curious. Would he have, if he was not in a depressive state, would he have made this request? Or would he have just, punched him in the face and told him to shut up? Because he gladly punched other people. He multiple times stood up for...
And you know why?
Go ahead.
Because he loves Patrick.
Yes.
He loves him.
Yes.
That's the thing is, everyone in this movie is obsessed with people liking them, and no one gives a shit about love.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand... Patrick doesn't understand that Colin loves him. That's why he punches the policeman in the face when he's fucking with him. That's why, he doesn't understand... No one in this town really has any love in their life. All they have is, some semblance of stability in an identity where it's about, I hope people like me. It's about niceties, right?
Yeah.
It's about not ruffling feathers in this small little island.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, to me, makes Colin empathetic, is that he still loves his friend.
Yeah.
But he's like, "I love you, but this is the best thing for me and you. Because otherwise, we're going to keep living the latter half of our lives, and it's going to be completely meaningless, and we're going to be doing the same thing that we did yesterday for the next however many days."
I think this is really interesting, and it brought up, it connects to something I thought about too. One of the interesting aspects of the film I thought was the analysis of niceness.
Yes.
And to me, the niceness was directly correlated with the island and the village. Is there a trade-off between, cosmopolitanism and bohemianism and niceness? In other words, you go to this city with tons of people to create, to innovate, to think of ideas, and I think maybe manners or niceness, just making sure that the person you're talking to is, it's really pleasant, and maybe that takes a back seat. Brendan Gleeson, he wants to be a bohemian.
Yeah.
He wants to start creating, to be an artist, and he's done with the niceness that is essential and paramount in the village.
Yeah.
Small, because it's so few people. You need to have be cordial with one another.
Yeah.
And Colin Farrell's character is not even close to thinking in a bohemian way, and that's why he therefore then values that niceness. And I thought that was an interesting concept because I never had really thought about that in depth. The potential trade-off that might exist there. There is a sort of loneliness to artistry that I think we can all recognize. It's cliche now, but I think it really does have a truth to it. And can those things coexist in a totally harmonious way? I don't know. Maybe they can.
And I thought kind of an interesting backdrop to that theme, which I did think was somewhat effective, was the backdrop of the Irish Civil War happening on the mainland. They're basically, that's that Civil War that happened between 1922 and 1923 in Ireland between, and it really became, even within the ranks of the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, even within those ranks, people were starting to disagree about. Basically, there was an anti-treaty faction and a pro-treaty faction, and basically the treaty was with Great Britain. I was doing basic research on this shit, and it's so interesting, the idea of people being this small group of people on this island of INISHERIN, which is a fictitious island, but you can imagine that it's based on a real, islands off the kind of western coast of Ireland. But there's this whole micro drama playing out on this island of oh no, my friend doesn't like me anymore, and in the background of that, literally across the water, there's a war happening. Yeah. And it's about people I think the war in a way is about people not liking each other. But it's not I don't know what, and that was just an interesting sort of thematic backdrop to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's conflict among friends, basically.
They truly lived in a different world, and it's totally understandable why.
Yes.
They literally just, the numbers and the way they lived, impacted, basically the underlying philosophies of, that permeated that little society like that, and which was interesting. I was thinking about that's probably pretty damn true. These small little towns on these small little islands, what they value obviously is way different, and it was interesting to see that analyzed.
Yeah, Gabe, you had a...
No, I was just thinking, I feel based on what you were just chatting through, it's I wonder if part of this film is, how do we deal with the inevitable? If we know we're all going to die, or if we know we can't live with our siblings together,
yes,
or if we know if we can't put up with someone's shit forever,
yeah,
or if we know that, my country is going to change without I have no control over this.
Yeah.
What do we do about it?
You set a house on fire.
Some people do,
You chop your fingers off. I mean, I think that maybe
it's one of the big questions. It's one of the big
know?
questions in this fucking movie. It's what do you do about that?
Which I think, Havey, before you were talking critically about the open-ended nature of this film, but this is one thing that I do like about it, is I can walk in, experience as a part of the village what's happening to these people and their existential malaise, which in some ways I guess is a part of an absurdist world. There can be a lot of existential themes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's how do you deal with that?
Well, it's interesting though, when you just reframed it from outside looking in, it does kind of paint the absurdity. If you were, I was sort of viewing it from the close-up, relationship viewpoint and the ramifications and the storylines of those things. But if you look, farther back from it on the island, it does kind of, because then it's it does sort of absurdity is a little bit more justified then.
Yeah, and we'll be right back. Movie Addicts Podcast. We'll be back in a sec.
Part
We're
of
back with Movie Addicts
features
Podcast, by
and
the
part of movies. It's a freaking miracle that any movie ever gets made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if it's good.
Especially, I mean, it's like
if it's good, that's like God.
It's like
it really
what-
is like God, like
Smiling down.
yeah.
just all the moving parts, like all the fragile elements that go into making a film. Like good films really need to be cherished.
Oh,
They're
absolutely, absolutely.
um
Yeah, no, they're miracles, little miracles. Yeah,
I love that.
you get it.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's your film company, Little Miracles.
Nah, Strange Place, baby.
Yeah.
Gabe had this idea to just take out productions and just make a Strange Place, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll eventually happen.
Do it.
I like that.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, man. All right, so back to Banshees of INISHERIN.
I think we were getting into some good things regarding, like, how do people deal with the malaise of life? Like, is it an absurdist thing to cut your fingers off? Or is it just a simple request? Just leave me alone.
Or is it absurd to stay
Did
on the
he
same
even-
island for your entire life and drink the same 10
Also
pints
true.
of beer every day at 2 p.m.? Like, what is more absurd?
Also, did he mean it the first time he said it?
Mean what?
That he would cut his finger off?
I mean, it seems like clearly he did, right? Am
I don't
missing
know.
something?
We say things sometimes. We don't mean
I
them
got the
first
impression
time.
that he wasn't, that he himself was sort of self-doubting, because he did talk to him, and there was a he looked at his hands on the beach, and he hadn't done it yet. But did he do it? Was it immediately after that scene that he threw the finger at the door?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
I think what kind of bothered me, and this is where, like, in terms of absurdity, Havey, maybe I'll throw you a bone on this one.
yep.
It felt unrealistic to me. Oh, maybe it is one of us. Oh, that.
I think it's your mic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my
Fucking
mic.
microphones.
All right. Test.
Maybe it really is the mic.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're gonna upgrade to Sennheisers one of these days. $400 a pop.
And like mic stands and stuff.
Yeah, literally. No, what was I saying? I was saying how. Was he actually going to do it? Was he not?
Oh, yeah.
Damn it, I had a point I wanted to make. I don't remember.
Well, it's interesting. I'm kind of changing my perspective a little bit. Like, the absurdity works big picture if you just consider it all, like, from big picture.
Yeah.
You can kind of parse out the absurdity, and the points it's making. But when you're there in the theater, going on the ride, the emotional ride with the characters, it feels. Still, I think I will assert that the balance wasn't ideal for me.
Right.
But big picture, sure, yeah, you can interpret those just fine, and they make sense. And stuff.
I remember in terms of the absurdity. So I'll throw you a bone. In terms of, did they go far enough? Did they not go far enough? Were they like being unreasonable with the way it was executed? There was a point in the film where I was like, really, Martin McDonagh?
What?
You're going to have him chop his fingers off that plays the fiddle? That just felt like unnecessary. Like, why didn't he chop off his hands that used the bow? There was something almost like
Because I don't think he really cared about music at the end of the day.
I don't know.
I was about to bring that up.
Part of me
Yeah,
almost
there
thought
was-
like he doesn't. Does he actually? What does
He
he,
might
actually
not.
want?
He might not.
he wanted to write the song, though, and he was playing it
And he
with
did
everybody
finish
in
writing
the
the song.
pub. To the degree that he could no longer play it, but he could teach it to the other violinists.
And he was singing it at the end, so maybe he does care. But
But there was.
but you're right. Like there's some sort of explanation there.
This is what I'm getting at with like the absurdity of him. Like, is he just doing this to like entertain himself? Is he just like being kind of flippant? And there's something exciting about like doing something that you're not supposed to do, almost something naughty.
Did you
know?
ever?
But it was just absurd that he cut off his left fingers instead of his right. You know? But I guess his right hand, technically
Well, he's his
his
Well,
right
see-
hand would be his dominant hand, so he would value that over his plucking
Well, let
fingers.
me point something out. To me, I feel like the fact that you even feel compelled to ask that question is kind of a reflection of what I believe to be the problem of the film. Is that the film engages your realistic, rational instincts too frequently for you to just disengage that part of you. So you're asking the question, why not the hand that, he grabs the bow with? Well, you're asking that because Brendan Gleeson, throughout most of the film, is portrayed beautifully as this introspective, deep, emotional character, real character. And, it's like, okay, well then all of a sudden we're supposed to he just chopped off all his fingers and he's just walking around, with no pain. It's kind of a misalignment to me. That's jarring a little bit. Not satisfactory.
God.
You see what I'm getting at, though?
Here's the reality, though. I do see what you're getting at. The reality is, Colin, Brendan Gleeson's character, is conflicted.
Go on.
He doesn't operate from a place of certainty. Because if he did, he would have done what Siobhan did.
Which was leave. And instead, he goes through this whole fucking farcical, I'm going to chop my fingers off. It's the thing that Havey keeps getting hung up on, which is the finger. You really are getting hung up when you talk about absurd elements. The thing you're getting most hung up on is the fingers thing.
Well, that's certainly part of it.
I will say, also on
not just the fingers, just the absurdity of. Well, that is sort of like the apex of it, if you will. But
yeah,
it's not just that. It's like, it's not just that. But
I kind of wish.
What else?
What else is it if it's relevant? And then Gabe has a point.
Well. So I think the absurdity in the older woman character, the absurdity with just every I could sit here and go through all of them, but suffice to say that the deliberate attempts, what I categorize as absurd is like the deliberate attempts in the writing and or directing to point out atypical behavior and weirdness. So whether that be, Colin Farrell, like, having his farm animals just roam throughout his house, the sister and brother living together, the one cop, the old lady, the pub that is like this one pub that everyone goes to, the fingers,
and the lady who works at like the drugstore as well.
Yeah, so absurd is catch-all for just this a deliberate attempt by the part of the filmmaker to make you to say this is different. This is not, a typical world that you're used to seeing, typical people you're used to seeing, or at least a deliberate attempt to reframe it.
Interesting. Okay.
Sorry, but you were saying
no, but that's just like it's good to you're just like setting out your Anyway, Gabe, you had a point.
Well, I will say also going back to Havey's point about why couldn't the filmmaker go further? I would have loved like a miracle kind of moment, like aspect, where he doesn't leave the house because he's that like depressive.
Exactly,
and
that would have been
nihilistic.
cool.
But
it would have worked.
But I was gonna say he doesn't leave the house, but he survives.
Exactly.
That I think would have been a really interesting choice on McDonagh's part to
Yeah.
show like this guy's willingness to like. Yeah, you do whatever you want. Like, you have the choice. You can talk to me, and I'll chop my fingers off. And if you get mad at me, you can burn my house down, and I'm going to keep living my life. But he stepped out of the house, which I think goes back to Dale's point, is that's why he's a conflicted character, and he's not decisively going to let other people run his life.
He's not decisive about the very fact of whether he wants to leave this lifestyle behind, leave these people behind.
Because he loves them, like you said.
Because he does love them. And also, like, look at what happens when he starts writing his fucking song. Where's he working on the songs? At the fucking pub.
Right.
He's not trying to go over to Dublin or Galway and go to the mainland and
And be the next Irish Mozart.
Because in reality, he's also probably afraid that his song fucking sucks.
Yeah.
To me, one of the
You know what
most
I mean? Like, what if his song... Do we ever hear him play the song?
Yeah.
We hear him practicing it. We never hear
Yeah.
the full
Other
thing.
players.
All
But
the
it's
way
also
through.
like, dude, what if my song stinks? You know what I mean? Like, what if I go over to Dublin and there's 10 fiddle players who are 10 times better than me?
Maybe that's kind of the point, though. Like, deep down, like, because McDonagh refused to give us the song in its entirety, It was never about the song.
No, it's really not. The song is like a. You know what this is? The song's not really a MacGuffin per se, is it?
No.
Not a
MacGuffin is
MacGuffin.
like
It's
when
like
you're
a-
chasing.
It's not
after
about the
shit.
song. It's about being that person remembered 200 years later.
In a way, he is chasing the song, but I get it's not a MacGuffin. It's not a MacGuffin.
Suddenly turns into Uncharted in Ireland, and it's like,
Well, I think there's a way. I think what Havey's getting at, and I don't know if I agree. What Havey's getting at is like this movie probably could have been simpler, and it still would have worked. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean,
Like the movie could have just literally been about those 4 characters. It could have been about Siobhan, Dominic, Colin, and Poddick, and it could have just been about them and their dynamics changing.
Yeah, I think that
Them
would have
wanting different things for themselves. Some of them evolving. Some of them.
here, I want
Failing
to
to
pose something.
evolve.
I want to pose something.
Yeah.
Drastic to cut your fingers off, right?
Sure.
Let's say he didn't do that.
Okay.
Let's say for every time that he bothered him, he killed a chicken or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And so he walks up to the house, he's got a dead chicken in a sack, throws it at the door.
Okay.
Do you think that would have worked as much?
No, it wouldn't have worked. No.
Why not? Tell me why. Because if the whole point is that
Because we do. Here's okay. I want to point out something about the fingers thing as well. For the audience in the theater we were in, it seemed to really work.
Yeah.
It was a part of the plot that people were really would get really engaged with. You hear people going, oh, and I think the 3 of us did as well. Yeah. There's something about the guy self-mutilating that elicits a very intense emotional and visceral response from an audience.
Yeah.
And it gets you invested in the demands of the character. It gets you invested in Colin's demands, which are like, just don't talk to me. And then every time Colin Farrell tries to talk to him, you get a little tense because you go, wait, is this after this conversation? Is he going to just cut more fingers off?
Do you
I
think
don't really
that's
want
cheap?
that.
Do you think that's cheap? In other words, do you think that that's kind of a, like, of course, like gruesome bodily mutilation is going to elicit some sort of, response from an audience? Do you think that was just some sort of kind of convenient device? I mean, what's your opinion as a writer? As a writer, do you think that was earned in a sense? He's like, okay, I'm gonna chop. He's like, all of a sudden, he's like, if you keep talking to me, I'm gonna chop my fingers off. And it felt like the next really tense moment was when he did it, right? So it's like, okay, this movie's gonna be weird and sort of flat in areas. And
I don't think it's cheap. I wouldn't say that. It's not cheap. It's a big swing. It's a big swing, and it's.
Can you identify what it's rooted in? Like what is?
That's the big. I don't know that I can. That's why. I guess that's why your instinct to ask, is it cheap, is based in that, right? Is that like it's not
exactly.
immediately
Exactly. Justified's another way of saying it. Is it played specifically for the superficiality of it? It's maybe that's part of the fun is trying to interpret that question. But to me, it was such a. The reason that, to me, just to hark on this a little bit, I think now that I'm talking it through, it was such a central point of the movie. It all kind of revolved ultimately around him chopping off his fingers in one way or the other, and it was
because then the donkey also dies.
Yeah,
because of the
but
chopped
the
off
thing
fingers.
is, it was really open ended as to why that was in the film, why all of a sudden this sound rational smart man would do that, and it's like I felt playing catch up the whole time. Like if it was really clear and we can make that interpretation of what of the abstraction, then I could buy in more, get rolling. But it was like the mystery was so big and at the center of the film, it kind of disconnected me from it a little bit. You know what I'm getting at?
I do think though it's like it does the fingers thing does beg the question of then why fingers specifically, and then it sort of begs you to ask, like it begs this is a movie that, like I said before, it operates in a it answers big questions with other big questions, because then the question of why specifically does he want to chop his fingers off, that begs the question of, well, what do you use your fingers for? And in reality, the answer is everything. It's like you could actually... He would have been better off if he goes, I'm going to chop off my foot. Let's just run with that. Because then he just gets a wooden foot, and he still can play the fiddle perfectly well. He can still shake people's hands. He can pick up a pint glass. He can write music. Okay. There's something that's very high stakes about chopping off fingers because he needs.
It's devastating. It's really devastating.
Yeah, because that can fuck up pretty much your everyday life in a way that like maybe chopping off a different artery might or body part might not disrupt your life. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything that much more relevant. That was weird. Was I on the mic? It sounded like I was quiet for a second.
It was just far away.
I don't know if there's anything much more relevant than the fact that Martin McDonagh was playing into the fact that this particular character, one of their greatest joys in life is playing music, and therefore they are willing to give that up in order to tell this person to go fuck off.
Yes, I think that's all it is. I think it's simple.
I'll throw this out there. Curious about your thoughts on this as well. I'm curious because you were talking. I'm realizing we are talking. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I also think this might be an important conversation too. We're talking about these characters as if they're people, and they're displayed as people.
Yeah,
and
that's
the story
exactly my
has
point.
the
Why
story has
though?
very human moments.
Exactly.
But I'm curious if this really.
To me, that's a testament that the movie's successful.
But I'm also very curious if these characters are not people wrote it, people grounded in like personal motivations and needs and things of that nature, or if really deep down, they're actually just emblematic of a different perspectives on a single theme.
I think that's very likely.
Because for me, I'm sitting here, and this is what I was going to get at. Call me crazy. I think Dominic killed himself. And the reason I think that, without a shadow of doubt, is that everybody has a perspective on what happens with the reality that I'm going to die and I need my life to change.
Yeah.
Like, if Siobhan moves away and Colin does something so drastic that he cuts his fingers off to keep himself entertained, and Pollock is kind of the controlled variable. He's the control where, like, life is fine. I'm good, And then Dominic is somebody who, like, he has the strength to just end it all because that's what all he sees is nothing more. And then even the police character, his way of, like, keeping life going is by abusing his son and abusing his power. Like, that's how he stays entertained.
Well, he needs to feel that he's better than other people. He needs.
But again, I don't think from a large, like, thematic standpoint, it's not even like from a character perspective, yes, but from a thematic standpoint, it's just this is another perspective in the like the palette of how do I deal with the existential reality of life that I've got 20 years left to live, and what's the point? And sorry, go on. No, there's just a part of me that's like, I think everybody's just a different color on the palette
different
of
shade
that
of a
theme. That's it.
And I think that's the way McDonagh seems to work, right? I think
I haven't seen it in Bruges, but I would
Bruges
assume.
Is really that way. I would say Six Shooter is that way.
Missouri's that way.
Yeah.
How does everybody deal with grief? How does everybody deal with grief?
Yep.
I've definitely had conversations about that movie regarding this too. It's just like the mother deals it with one way, the father, the children, the sheriff. Everybody deals with it in a different way. And I kind of like that version of writing where you take a huge theme, you create different perspectives around that theme, you build a character around that perspective, and then you see how those relationships naturally, organically evolve.
Yeah.
Definitely something for us to think about in terms of certain projects. But it's like that just checks out to me in terms of like the absurd. It never really mattered what the absurdity was, because even if it stands out, absurd or not, we need to see what these people are doing. How are they reacting to it? And that's where we connect. The fingers, we clearly don't connect. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
but what do they do with the reality after the fact?
I think too. I guess I'll just ride my point to the end. Just
go baby, go.
Argument's sake. Now that you mentioned that, that's interesting. I think the thing that maybe threw me off was there was too many statements that you could yield from the absurdity in this film. Like, it wasn't concise enough. It wasn't just one statement on society. Naturally, of course, a film, no matter absurd or not, is going to have many different interpretations, many different statements. But it seems like absurd, when satire, making sort of absurd art, there's probably a larger comment or many comments around one theme. It was too much for me to try to interpret, to try to, for you, that might be part of the joy of it.
Yeah.
It's certainly, I think, more interesting talking about it after the fact than it was watching it.
Right.
But yeah, if it was more concise and more deliberate around one central thing that it was trying to make absurd or make us realize was absurd, then I probably would have enjoyed it a bit more.
I get it. I get it.
I'm always okay with films having loose ends and not wrapping up a theme so neatly. I don't know. It's just something I'm okay with.
To be fair, Havey, you're not saying you're not okay with open ends. You're just saying there was a
saying
lot of...
No, I love ambiguity.
But for this film, it didn't really work for you.
I love ambiguity, but in doses and well-timed, and perhaps at the end of like a plot, a great plot. This wasn't a plot-driven movie as more so as it was kind of thematically driven.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like it's symbol-driven. And the ambiguity was, to me, like the entire film. Like it felt like that.
Yeah.
You think of a film like Taxi Driver with the beautiful ambiguous ending of the rear. That to me is awesome because it's at the very end, and the film was concrete and super realistic throughout, and then it just throws you this weird curveball at the end. To me, it deserved that, or the mix was good. 99% hyper realism. Or, not necessarily realism, but based in a lot of realistic themes and everyday life. And then, like, 1%, cherry on top. This one was, like, 90% just open-endedness and 10%, realistic. The mix, the math, the chemistry, the calculus, whatever is off to me. I would have liked a much more... one-sided equation. 90% absurdity, 10% or I just can't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one thing what you and I wanted to say this earlier, but then we moved on to another topic. A film I saw recently that is evidence of the kind of what you're describing. Is another movie that came out recently called Triangle of Sadness. I don't know if you saw it. But the first 25 minutes of that movie, I think, are excellent. And then the movie becomes bloated with symbolism, absurdism.
See, now I have to watch it because...
And to me, it's actually a great example of what what the experience you had. I bet if you saw Triangle of Sadness, you'd feel even more strongly, like the same way that you did about Banshees, because... I was like, the movie had this really simple premise up top, Triangle of Sadness did, and it was basically like a couple, right? And they're both models. So one's a male model, one's a female model. And they're arguing about... The movie's immediately exploring like class and money and all these like really complex issues. And basically there's a really extended sequence where the couple they're at dinner. And the boyfriend she makes more money as a female model than he does as a male model. So they're at dinner, and he's kind of been paying for a bunch of shit on this trip that they're on. She has like a fashion show. I forget where they are. They're in like fucking Prague or wherever, right? And the bill comes for dinner, and she's sort of looking at her phone, right? Leaving him to kind of pick up the bill. And it becomes this whole extended sequence where they're arguing for the next like 25 minutes about like, no, but did you know the bill was there? And like you said you were going to cover dinner when I paid for dinner last night, you said you were going to cover it tonight. And like the movie's doing this really like, I'm like, that could be an entire movie. just the premise of the couple arguing over, and then she's like, well, why do we care so much about money? He's like, because it's really important, and also why can't we have a conversation about money? And it, like, then she kind of provides her perspective, and then his perspective kind of takes over, then her, and I was like, that could be an entire film. And I think the same way Banshees could have gotten away with the entire premise being Colin saying to Podrick, like, I don't want to talk to you anymore, don't talk to me. And you could take out the fingers bit, and the whole movie could be the back and forth of, why won't you just talk to me? I just want, like, that could be the whole contained story, and you actually wouldn't even need the fingers. And I think Triangle of Sadness, after it goes on this really great tangent about, like, this couple arguing over, like, a bill for dinner, after it does that, then it goes into, like, this cruise ship, and there's, like, a million other characters we're meeting, and, like, weird scenes with, like, people throwing up. There's like and then there's like they end up on an island and they're all, it's like becomes Lord of the Flies. It's like becomes like 3 different movies. I actually think it's like committing more of a cardinal sin than what I think you're saying Banshees is. But like there's something I do think something that's being lost, I've noticed generally in movies, is like I'm not sure what happened till just like the simple movie. Like 5 Easy Pieces.
Yes.
You ever seen that movie?
No, but like ordinary ordinary people.
Yeah, okay, I haven't seen Ordinary People, but like there used to be movies that would come out and they were just really simple but really fucking good. And they made you think, they made you feel, great characters, interesting world, all that stuff, interesting themes, but they were just fucking simple. Like 5 Easy Pieces is Jack Nicholson, you think he's this like rough and tough dude from Oklahoma who like is like this blue collar guy. And then you find out he actually comes from, like, this family of artists, you know, this sort of, like, intellectual elite. And it's sort of, like, basically the whole film is just unraveling, like, how he ended up in Oklahoma working on, like, at a steel mill. You know what I mean? And it's very simple. Excuse me.
Taylor, you good?
And I think movies are feeling a lot of pressure right now to maybe bring added value, because I think there's a big fear in the mix right now of, well, if we're going to show it in a theater, what are you bringing that's going to... We'll be right back.
This is great stuff.
Can you hold this mic
agree.
for a second?
No, simple is really a concise way.
Wait, hold on. All right, and we're back. Go for it.
Yeah, just quickly, I think simple is a really... You know, you're hitting the nail on the head there with, you know, it really does tie in strongly to what I think is a flaw of the film, and I totally agree. And I think continue. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of pressure on movies right now to bring something unique and sensational to the theatrical experience, when this movie would have been just as well off if it was just a simple movie about a friend telling another friend, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, and then the other friend trying to figure out why.
Exactly, I completely agree.
And I think, yeah, so that's just, I just wanted to bring that, like, broader context that I do think is, like, playing into this, what you're getting at, which is, like, wait, what's up with the fingers thing?
And also, movies are kind of already inherently absurd, and life is inherently absurd, right? So if you're making, like, a deliberate attempt to really paint an absurd picture, you have to go all the way. You know, him arguing with his friend, like, why aren't we friends anymore? That's kind of already inherently absurd, no?
Yes.
And in its simplicity,
it is.
in its raw form, to me, it already has the elements of absurdity in them. And you don't need to depart so totally from the groundedness to achieve both.
Yeah.
So
I'll put it out there. I'm seeing, like, a intersection between telling a story that is easy to connect to and giving a film auteur like room to tell the story how they would tell it.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, currently, strangely enough, Pinocchio is being told by Disney right now, and there's also a Guillermo del Toro version coming out.
Oh, I didn't fucking know that.
that's a lot of Pinocchios.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Doesn't Disney own the IP, though?
No, because the story is not technically a Disney story. It's,
Damn. You know that Guillermo del Toro one's going to slap.
It's
like a darker Pinocchio.
It's like a weird, dark weird, dark, like, animated, like, stop motion thing. But
Guillermo's is?
yeah,
Okay.
you can Google it right now. But the point is, like, you take one story, different directors are going to do it differently, and so the question is, at what point does McDonagh, is he allowed to like add his McDonagh flair?
The question is whether.
And does he have
is the
to
fingers thing his flair, or do you think that's him feeling pressure as an artist to throw something in that's just going to be visceral?
Sounds like a flair to me.
Okay.
Because there's always something a little bit absurd in his stuff. Like, you really got to read Pillow Man. I really believe. Because there's some weird similar shit in this, in my opinion, to, like, what Pillow Man is. Especially even just some of the conversations and the jokes. The way, like, simple remark. Person responds by repeating that remark. Person responds by repeating that they were repeating the remark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those kind of jokes are in Pillow Man as well. But I really do believe that, like, there's no doubt that we, in the entertainment, in the industry, however we put it, need to talk about, like, not bending down to the pressures of, like, just making things exciting for the sake of exciting, but also, like, people do need to have, like, you know, for instance, Tom Cruise, does he need to do, you know, a stunt hanging onto the side of a plane?
No.
But if he's got the money and people are going to pay for it, can he? Yes.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting. Well, I think should we bring this thing to a conclusion here?
You can. Does anybody have any other thoughts?
Well, we got to also make the determination.
Well, I just want to say, you know,
Go for it, Hayden.
You know, despite the fact that I've been critical of the film, there are certainly elements that I really did enjoy. Great performances. Really some top-notch acting.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why ultimately I think, you know, for all I've said, what I'm saying is I would have loved to have seen just more of the authentic, honest performances that the actors could have given in a slightly more or largely more grounded, realistic film. But nonetheless, you know, enjoyed parts, but there was more cons than pros for me in this film, unfortunately. My first Movie Addicts podcast, I really wanted to, you know, be positive and like the film, but
I think no, Havey, you brought yourself to it, you brought your honesty to it, you brought your takes to it. That's what matters,
baby.
Yeah.
That's what counts.
It doesn't matter that you, like, you know, are like celebrating the film. What matters is, you know, that we're
true.
You're just
Honesty.
bringing some heat to the discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you did.
So I'm excited to lockups.
Wait, do you have anything, Gabe, you want to throw in?
I'm just trying to think. Like, I guess. I mean, we've covered a lot. We've talked for a good amount of time. I'm like, is there anything else that is on my head regarding this project? I feel like we.
For me, this is going to be a project I'm going to keep revisiting most likely because I
would
think there's a
like
lot
to.
here.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to watch it with. I would love to go watch it with like an audience in Massachusetts. Personally, I have a feeling that people like from Hingham watching this would eat it up
Really?
in a way that Los Angeles audiences might not fully. I have a feeling that this movie will land with a fairly wide audience, given what the project is. I really do think so, because I think there's like something really simple and endearing to latch onto and compelling to latch onto. So
Yeah.
I think this movie's going to do well, and I'm hoping it does, because this is the kind of movie that, like, this is similar to like kinds of things I want to make, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I guess it was a cock up for me. No surprise there.
Damn.
Okay,
No
so the
surprise
cock-up.
there.
Okay, cock-up.
Damn.
I don't anticipate myself watching that again.
Oh wow!
Anytime soon.
Jesus.
I mean, I might just to sort of maybe change my mind, but I was, quite frankly, being brutally honest, really ready for that film to be over in the theater.
Whoa.
Wow.
I just really by the end did not enjoy it. Just was not that entertaining to me, and I think for the reasons I stated. So, cock up.
Havey's gonna unsubscribe from every streaming service that offers it.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
I'm coming after Banshee. I'm trying to take it down.
Game.
Damn. Lock up.
It's a lockup for
It's
me
a
as
lockup.
well. It's a
It's a
lockup for
lockup.
me as well.
First of all, love McDonagh. Just love his stuff.
Yeah.
Second
Great
of all,
artist.
was laughing my ass off through a lot of that film. Just the jokes alone were so well executed.
I hate watching it with these stiff ass LA audiences though. When you're trying to get laughs.
Do the impression again.
That's what I'm saying. What?
Do the LA laugh again?
I'm telling you, I'm gonna go see this movie in Hingham, and people are gonna be crying loud. Like people are gonna be eating it up. I just think like these fucking I don't know, man. Sometimes these pseudo fascists out here, I just don't like it. I don't like it. You know
well
what I
said,
mean?
well said, Dale. So it's a lockup.
Yeah.
It's a lockup. I had a good time. Also, I love the symbolism stuff. I freaking eat that up throughout the film.
For me,
my
it was
mind
just
is like.
For me, it was just the right dose of symbolism.
Yeah.
Because I know you loved when it's like symbolism overload. Colin Dale gets a little.
Dude,
you know me. I get a little.
I see a mysterious woman who's like a banshee, and I'm like, I'm locked in. I'm
See,
like,
yeah, you
what
eat
has
that
she
shit
got
up.
to offer? You know, like I'm waiting for like the cloak and the staff. Like the whole moment at the beginning of the film, like halfway through, I'm like, what does this mean? When Dominic finds the rod with the hook at the end of it, and then I realize that's the same rod and the hook that she's carrying. What does that mean? You know? Remember?
Wow. Okay, something that like I remember it, but I'd have to rewatch to like grasp it. Yeah.
It's just I ate that shit up.
Yeah. I like I was saying, like watching this movie with you, Gabe, was like it was literally like it was showing you like. It was like I was showing you like a movie my new movie, and that you were like, and then you were like 10 minutes late, and I'm like, okay, well.
I was 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I just want to throw on.
He was 10 minutes late. He walks in with his sunglasses on. I'm like,
did.
all right, well now you know.
He was
telling me to
he
go
didn't
fuck
just walk
myself.
in, he was strutting.
And then the whole time in the movie, he's like,
Colin, wasn't he strutting in the theater?
What?
He was like strutting.
He
in
strutted
like
it. By the way,
he was
didn't
like, "What's
even
up,
notice us
losers?"
for the first 10 steps you took into the theater. Me and Havey are like standing right in front of you.
Yeah.
It was as if we didn't.
I want to make
exist.
this clear, ladies and
Right,
gentlemen. I was out doing errands in the morning, and I drove my ass back to
See,
Manhattan
now we know the
Place.
backstory. See, that's the thing is we know the
I drove my
backstory
ass
of the kind
back
of day you
to
were having.
pick up Colin. I drove my ass to pick him up,
Okay,
and he
I
said,
didn't know that.
and he said, I'm at a meeting. I'm going to drive straight there. And I'm like, cool. I'll see you in the theater.
Yeah.
So when I roll up,
Who is that?
and someone's on a motorcycle or some shit right now.
Yeah.
playing
This
music.
is.
So
our
when you're still in the auditorium and I told you to go in and go sit down and go to the bathroom and you're waiting for me, what are you waiting for?
Because I'm waiting for you to show up
Nah.
to basically what
No.
emotionally the experience I'm having is I'm showing you my new movie.
Listen to me. Next
Do you
time,
understand?
you watch it yourself, enjoy
This
the
is like-
trailers, and I'll sit down next to you because we agreed on seats. By the way, ladies and
Seriously,
gentlemen,
what's
no. I'm about to shut this fucking shit down right
up
now.
real quick.
All right?
What's a movie?
No.
Hold on. What's a
Dale
movie,
said
Gabe?
that
Hold
I
on,
was
hold on.
late. You ready for this? Dale said I was late. I came into the theater, sat down with Dale. Guess who got up for fucking popcorn and came in 2 minutes late to the film? Who missed the
Because I'm
first
trying to
two-
no. Because I'm
Nah, bitch.
no.
You were
Can I say something?
late.
I
My
wanna-
ass
no,
was in
I
the
wanna
seat.
say something now.
I'm the one who saw
Okay.
Nicole Kidman
What's a movie?
remind me how
What's
great
a movie
movies
recently
are, and
that
then
we've
you
been-
walked
we've
out
gone to
for
see that
popcorn.
you were really excited
You're
about?
out, son.
What's a movie
You're
that
out.
we've gone to see that you've been really
Dale,
excited
we've
about?
been better. Do I need to
Tell
cut your
me,
hair off?
tell me.
Samson, do I need to cut your hair off? Because Delilah's
Gabe.
coming in hard on you, bitch.
No,
Let's go, son.
Just tell me a movie. I want to give you I want you to understand. I want you to empathize with what I was going through. I'm going through. Basically, I'm excited for the movie. It's one of the movies I've been the most excited about for. Right. There have been movies you've been really excited for, and I showed up on time.
What a nice
I
guy.
wasn't fucking around.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't leaning.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely wasn't late because I went back to the house to pick you up. I
And they
was trying
wouldn't
to
let
help you
Colin
out.
You
bring his
were
coffee
basically during the movie. This is what Gabe was during the movie while we were watching it. I'm looking over.
Oh, you can comment
were like
however
Jack
I was
Nicholson
in
in
the
The
film.
Departed when he's like in the porn theater and he's like hanging out in the trench. That was you watching this movie. And I was like, I cannot tell what Gabe's thinking. I don't know what he's feeling.
Can I just
I
really
basically
quick,
feel like I'm showing him a part of myself, and he doesn't care.
just
I hope you know, I've been looking forward to this film for a while. Like, if you
It wasn't a
thought,
letdown for you either because it was a lockup for you.
if you thought that I was going into this with the same energy as Tar, completely
Tar,
different.
we didn't see Tar.
We didn't, but you told me
Yeah,
that you felt I wasn't big on it, and quite frankly, I wasn't. But you're giving me vibes right now that you may have interpreted my excitement for the film at an equal level. And I've been looking forward to this film since I knew it was a McDonagh and a Farrell film.
I just want
What's
to
a film though that you were excited about for us to go see recently? That you were like, Dale's kind of fucking around right now, and I'm ready to see this movie.
and I feel disrespected.
Like, honestly, what's one that where you were like, dude, Dale's kind of dicking around, and I'm like more excited to like see this movie.
If you're looking
remember
for a
one?
no answer, then there's probably a no answer.
Okay.
I don't know.
That seems dishonest to me, but there has to be one movie where you're like...
Well, let's break it down. Lyle, you were stoked about. Smile,
and you liked
enjoyed.
it more than I did.
Yeah. Barbarian, you enjoyed. Elvis, I was so stoked for. But you were on time for that and everything. We were both late for that one. I really feel like
we had a different... I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I just sorry to interrupt that...
Dale was late.
That comedy gold, but just for the record, just to go, I like ambiguity. I like it a lot, but I think perhaps in smaller doses, like if this film was like a short film, I think it would have worked a lot better than like the 3 hour, not 3 hour, but the feature length. It just was exhausting by the end.
I disagree with that, Havey, but
I disagree, Havey. I disagree.
The time for
take it easy with that. Don't do that to my man Martin McDonagh. Don't say, oh, it should have been a short. Oh, it's basically a short. Havey, take that back. Take that back.
I will not.
Havey, stand your ground.
Now I feel.
Why did you say that? That's your last take on the fucking. You're never coming back.
He came in for you, man. He came for you.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I thought I was kind of adding up. That was a positive thing. It was like, I don't get me wrong. I like the absurdity.
It should have been on a short on YouTube.
Havey, get him.
How are you gonna do that to Martin McDonagh?
Well,
still would have got a 5-minute applause or whatever it got at the Venice Film Festival, if that even matters. Who
cares about the applause at the film festival? Who gives
I've come to the conclusion that everybody goes to these festivals just to stand,
No, it's ridiculous.
Because every film gets a standing applause. What is this?
You can't get a gauge on how the movie, if it's actually good. Dune got like a 20-minute standing, and that movie's garbage.
Bro, when you go to buy tickets, I guarantee it says, is this your credit card information? Is this your zip code? Accept terms and policies. Will you please stand?
Yes.
And then clap. And then you check, and then you're allowed to attend.
And also, they're like, if you're not going to stand, you're not coming.
Yeah, if you don't check that box, they send you back.
Yeah.
You go back to the main portal.
No, because it's like...
But you ready for the clap, man? You ready for that clap?
No, because the clap is the
dumbest
part.
With the cards just like prepping
the clap is like the most useless thing ever. Like, me as the producer of the movie, I'd be like, I'm getting nothing from this.
It tells us how good the film is.
No, it doesn't.
The applause at the end, we know exactly if it was a worthy film.
You know how much. You know that the audience has their head up their ass. That's what you know.
Dale's sitting here salty because he was like,
I insult this man, and when
I get a movie in one of these like big Venice or something, I'm gonna pay 200 people to come and do like a 20-minute standing ovation, and then I'm gonna reveal later that I paid all those people. And to just expose the whole thing. That's what I'm going to do. It's on record.
I'm here for that.
I'm really going to do that.
Done.
I just cut myself.
I'm just glad you didn't cut me.
Havey, I can't believe you just said the fucking thing about it short.
Well, okay,
you were respectful the whole time, and then you kind of tried to pull some trickery.
No, listen, I'm not trying to...
What's up with that?
No.
Yeah, you're never coming back.
Well, what I'm trying to say...
Havey, I'll comp you in, Havey. I'll figure it out.
What I'm trying to say...
We'll film a 2-hour interview, and then Havey will just kind of like pop his voice in the background.
What I'm trying to say is that...
Wait. Hold on. Okay, let us know.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go for it.
What I was trying to say is maybe this story and the lens in which it was told was stretched out a little bit more than it could handle.
Okay, I just disagree.
It was stretched like...
Because I've sat in the movie theater watching Dune, and it's basically, I'm going, when is this... Like, that's a movie stretching it out.
Do you think
when the whole
Dune
movie
could have been a short? Dune could have been a short film?
Yeah, that movie could have been the first 10 minutes of the movie where they actually they actually make a fucking movie. I go, Dune ends, and you go, wait a minute, was that a commercial?
You haven't reviewed Dune yet, have you guys? Talked about Dune?
But I've talked about it because it's the most garbage piece of garbage.
At this point, I don't know if I'll ever watch Dune because I just want to keep hearing his hot takes.
Colin needs to do like a solo pod about Dune.
Come on, Jerry. Tell me, Jerry.
It's the most manipulative thing ever to roll out this movie that's just a commercial for the next movie. Like, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Can we get Jerry Seinfeld complaining about Dune?
About it being a commercial? Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you. I mean, Dune, I saw Dune. You know, I go with the wife, I see Dune, I go to the movies, I'm watching, I get some popcorn, you know what I mean? I'm on the phone. My wife says, put the phone down, I put the phone down. We're going to Dune. The movie comes on, the movie ends. I go, was that the movie? Was that the... My wife says,
or just
that
a trailer.
Was the movie. I said, that was the movie? That wasn't the trailer before the movie? sorry, you were asleep for 2 hours. I said, yeah, but I watched the last 30 minutes. Nothing happened. No, all right, that's it.
Well, that was good.
Anyway, all right.
Anywho.
This is the Movie Addicts podcast. This was Matt Havey.
Wow, what a pleasure.
It was
what a pleasure.
I was giving you a hard time at the end. Never say that again.
Or we're gonna have to let you go.
No, I'm kidding.
Listen, I'm holding their feet to the fire, man. I'm not bound to no one, man. You
See,
make a
and I have
good
to say,
movie.
that's how you have to be on the Movie Addicts podcast. So Havey brought the heat.
That's the thing.
He showed up to
Hey,
work.
we're not
He was
gonna be
ready
able
go.
to edit out, the sparks and the pops and the sound effects, but we'll edit your voice out. The whole episode.
Just,
You're gone.
you know what? It's the experience. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, If
The
you- that's what-
unreleased Havey episode.
I trust that you guys will.
Unreleased.
I trust that you guys will do what is best for the podcast.
Done.
I just want to say thank you guys. It was everything I expected. Just great conversation, and lucky for me, this is what it's like hanging out with you guys anyway.
Woo.
So it doesn't.
Cool.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
that's true.
confined to this awesome setup.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
It might be recorded here, but yeah, man. Thanks a lot. I
Yeah, of
look
course.
forward to listen. Continue to listen, man.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for coming on, Havey.
Hell yeah. Any handles people can find you online?
If you wanted people to find you.
Yeah, I got my reels on YouTube. Matthew Marcus actor. Look it up.
Hell yeah.
Check out Magnolia Flowers.
Yes.
On
Check out Magnolia Flowers.
I have some
On
other
Amazon.
videos as well.
Soon
that
to be
are
on Tubi. Soon to be on
Prime.
Tubi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instagram?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really active on Instagram.
Whatever.
But
Gotcha, boy.
You have an Instagram though.
I do
tag
have
you
an
and shit.
Instagram. I do have an Instagram, and you
Do you not want people to find you on it? Like,
Matt_Havey
yeah,
_Havey.
yeah.
I'm doing myself no service with these I'm this name, but I'm also that name. I gotta reel in a little
You'll
bit.
figure it out, buddy. You'll figure it out.
You'll get it. You'll get your shit together.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
all right.
This is Matt_Havey.
I'm Dale.
I'm Gabe.
And this was the Movie Addicts podcast. Hope you had a great weekend and
Hell
all
yeah.
that. All
Have
that
a great Halloween. Have a fun Halloween.
Thank God, spooky season's over,
Dude,
huh?
almost there.
Well, it's not over yet.
I can't wait for the menu for horror films.
What's gonna happen
Can't
is
wait for the
I'm
menu.
gonna have gone through this entire. I didn't realize spooky season was a month. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is
That's
a whole
it, man.
month.
So get,
Christmas gets a few days. Christmas gets 2 days. Spooky season gets a whole fucking month.
I mean, to be fair, Mariah Carey gets 3 months. So
Dude, that's a yeah. Anyway, all right.
get-
This is the Movie Addicts
get
podcast.
prepped for that. Bye bye.
Peace.
Peace.